Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Real Big Talk. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. The sun is shining, and it is the last day of winter.
Yes, it is. Happy spring tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. All positive things. And for me, today is the day I get my second vaccination shot after this show.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very much looking forward to it. I had a friend a friend of mine that went with me the first time. He's actually going to be on his way here soon, and he will be going with me again today. But another friend of mine went from Parkersburg. If you're not familiar with this story, it's okay. Real quick, just to let you know, I'm essentially going way out of my way to get this shot in Cambridge, Ohio. So through my home state of Pennsylvania, through my adopted home state of West Virginia, and through Ohio, over to Cambridge to get this shot. And a lot of people have asked me about that. Why would you go so far? I would have gone anywhere. It seems that this part of the idea of vaccination has gone down, but Lola and I talked about this when it first started to happen. People were taking vaccinations to Florida, into some other countries that were accessing vaccines quicker than America was doing it. And then Florida is just kind of like open for business. Like if there's vaccines there, you can go get them if you get in line first. So that was what a lot of people were doing. When I had the opportunity 21 days ago to go and get the vaccine in Cambridge, there was no way that I was not going to do it. I know it's not terribly far, but one of the problems that people are expressing and seeing is, one, a lot of elderly people who still want to get the shot can't figure out how to use there's too many ways. That's the biggest problem. I got lucky that when I opened my computer, as I was looking, near our area, when I opened my computer when I got to work, new pharmacies had popped up because I was miles away from the area that I had looked, and that's how this ended up happening. And now, granted, it was the one that was the furthest from me, but I was not going to turn down the opportunity. But one of the big problems is, and I've talked to friends of mine who have to help their grandparents, help their parents in some situations, get vaccinated. The biggest problem is there's far too many. That's why West Virginia, I maintain, and so have people worldwide maintain how well West Virginia is doing it. There's a universal spot. And yeah, it may take a little while from your information to get to where it's sent to, then to your county health department, and they tell you where to go and when to go, but it is uniform. Pennsylvania is a free-for-all, try Rite Aid, try CVS, try this place, try that place. If you can't do this, maybe there's one at the VFW. There was a VFW I saw not too far from me that had a sign out that said, hey, there's clinics here. It's maddening, and I really feel bad for a lot of elderly people that are just getting absolutely swept up. Elderly people, for the most part, are already terrified of a lot of things. Now you're asking them to try, if they have Facebook and can see the grandkids playing on Facebook and they can figure out how to get there. I'm speaking from experience because my mother is this person. Had she not lived in a nursing home, she would have had no clue. I would have had to have done it for her. That's an accomplishment. Trying to wade through how much information there is and how many places you have to possibly go to get it is really what has missed the mark. So yeah, when I got an opportunity, a clear-cut opportunity, take this highway west for 50 miles and get off here and get your shot, the answer was yes, I will absolutely do that. But boy, for the elderly right now, yes, more vaccines are coming. They're becoming more plentiful, but people are just getting caught up in this lack of understanding to get their vaccines.
Are you leaving at 4:30 today or 5 o'clock?
Today I'm leaving at 5. Yeah, next Friday.
Oh,
yeah, next Friday. Yeah, we talked about it since it came up. The only reason I am feeling confident enough to do what I'm going to do next weekend, one of my very best friends and my old business partner is getting married next Friday. And one of the reasons why I wanted to get that shot as quickly as I could was because I wanted to feel comfortable enough to attend that wedding next Friday. And I will. They say you have to have 12 days after your second dose is when you're fully vaccinated. And I'm not arguing the science. I'm sure they're right. but I will feel comfortable enough being a week after my second vaccination shot to wear a mask and go sit distant away from other people and watch my friend get married. So yeah, that's actually next Friday. But that was part of the reason. Why drive all that way? That's why. That's why. We will slowly get back to our real lives, but at some point we also have to realize that missing major events in our friends and family's life, it's just so difficult. I talked to a friend of mine today. He lives in Minneapolis, and he is a native Pittsburgher. Today's his father's 80th birthday. His mom has passed, I'd say, at least 10 years. And my buddy John lives in Minneapolis, and it's just absolutely destroying him that today is his father's 80th birthday, and he can't visit him. He can't visit him. He won't get on a plane until he gets vaccinated. I understand that. I don't blame him. This is the longest in my adult life I've ever gone without getting on a plane and going somewhere. I mean, that's, one of the byproducts of, one of the things that you gain in the give up of having a family and having kids is when you don't do that, you can go wherever you want. I mean, I get asked that question a lot. Like, how come you never, no wife, no kids? Well, the idea is I'm selfish. I like to get up and go. The Rolling Stones gather no moss, and this is the longest time I have gone in my adult life without being able to just pack a bag and hit an airport. And I don't want to do that. And even after I'm fully vaccinated, I think it's still probably going to be a little while until I do that. So I really felt bad for my friend today who was just super upset. He couldn't be with his dad on his 80th birthday, and he knows he's alone, and that stinks. But at some point, we got to figure this out. We got to figure this out. And I think a lot of these states need to figure out how to get vaccination clinics in places where people are, that they can't necessarily access. I mean, think about how many people in nursing homes were just there and got them. Well, think about how many people are old enough that are that are old enough to be in nursing homes that luckily can still live on their own, that don't have any idea how to use the internet. Man, I keep reading these stories about these overwhelmed older people. I read it was definitely a heartstrings kind of story this morning. I mean, this older couple, I think they were in their 80s, finally got vaccinated. Someone finally did they were calling them Vaccination Angels, is the program. Have you heard of this Vaccination Angels?
Yeah.
And these two people just openly sobbed because they finally were able to get this shot after a couple of months, because they've been living in fear that they were never going to be able to get it, because they really truly had no idea how to access the opportunity to get it. So if you do want a heartstrings, it's a nice story. It's a sad story in the way that technology overwhelms a lot of older people. But Vaccination Angels, just Google search it. There's plenty of stories out there. And it's people who, honestly, a lot of them have full-time jobs, and they're dedicating their nights and weekends to taking elderly people in their community, getting their information, and getting them scheduled on their own time for them to get to vaccination clinics. It's really the most quintessential people helping people story that I think I've seen in this since we saw the brewery stop brewing beer and start making hand sanitizer at the very beginning. Yeah, I think it's a sweet story.
Yeah, it is.
It's a sweet story. So looking forward to that as my second shot, and then all weekend long, if I get sick, if it sucks, and it's possible, it's certainly possible. I'm not ruling it out, but I'll take a couple of days of not feeling great to feel like my life is slowly returning to the processes that I enjoy. We're going to take our first break. We come back. We got a lot on the list today. We got a lot of basketball to talk about. Tournament going on right now. Big signing for the Steelers, and just plenty of news in general, and your phone calls. 304-214-1600. That is the phone number. We'll be back with more on The Watchdog.
Wake up to the Ohio Valley's favorite morning show, The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Weekday morning, 7 to 10 a.m. Only on The Watchdog.
Imagine yourself in a Toyota, like a new 21 Highlander or the all-new 21 Sienna, both with $1,500 cash back. Or check out a new 21 RAV4 and take up to $1,250 cash back. Or a new 21 Camry with up to $1,750 cash back. Visit buyatoyota.com for more deals, local inventory, and to find a dealer near you. You can take cash back or apply toward down payment. Offers vary for hybrid models and exclude TRD models. See your dealer for details. Ready, set, go get your Toyota today. Offers end March 31st. Toyota.
When winter weather strikes the Ohio Valley, you can trust the Storm Tracker 7 weather team to help you plan your day. Our experienced meteorologists stay connected with you on TV, online, and on social. Get your weather information straight from a local source. We'll help you be prepared and make sure you'll never be surprised.
And we do expect dry conditions overnight, tonight, and all day tomorrow.
Meteorologist Dr. Dave Walker, Aaron Mylar, and me, Zach Petty, the Storm Tracker 7 weather team. Working for you.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands is the perfect place to relax after a long day. Happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Get $2 off appetizers, $3 off domestic drafts, and house wine specials. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA. Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands with another steal of a deal. Get a steak burger and fries all day Monday for only $8.99. It's also Military Mondays. The Lube will take 25% off for all veterans, active duty military, and first responders. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA.
WKKX and WVLY. Voted coolest couple in their high school yearbook.
So what is wrong with another sin? The bitch is hungry, she needs to tell. So give her inches and feed her well. Well, this is got new places to go. I've got to leave it, time for the show. Here I am, rock you like a hurricane.
Welcome back to 222 on a sunny Friday afternoon here in the Ohio Valley. One of the drawbacks, and I really honestly have never realized it until right this second and all the times we've done this show, having a TV in here during March Madness, distracting. It's distracting. Good one going on right now between Virginia Tech and Florida down into about the last minute and a half of that game. Watch your brackets if you are part of our big contest. Thanks to West Liberty University for providing the opportunity to give you a big screen TV. If you got in on the Watchdog Madness promotion, know who your team is. Get over to our website, watchdognetwork.com, also available to you on our Facebook page. But this could be a big one. Right now, a lead for Florida, who is the higher seed, but they call it madness for a purpose. Juju Smith-Schuster signs with the Steelers, one-year deal. I know that I caught Bill talking about the end of it, and I think he had left, but I'd invite him in to talk about it if he was here. I think this is a good move for the Steelers. I think for Juju, it has probably been said to him in places that shall not be mentioned, if you sign this one-year deal and we can keep you here, next year when the cap goes up, we'll sign you long-term. Because it didn't do him any good, I think. Personally, I think it didn't do him any good to sign a deal here for 1 year when other teams were trying to sign him long-term, including which looks to be a heck of a push by the hated Baltimore Ravens to keep him in the division. He turned down a lot less money, it's reported, to stay a Pittsburgh Steeler. That is an interesting call, and I have a feeling it came with a gentleman's agreement. Hey, next year, cap goes up, you'll be a free agent again. We'll try to make you a Steeler for life. That doesn't.
Or he's just waiting on his numbers to go up and he can demand an exorbitant price next year on the open market.
I thought about that too, because again, this just really happened about an hour ago, and like I said, I heard Bill talking about it. I was getting ready for our show here, so I didn't have a ton of time to process it. But what you just said would make a lot of sense, except he has Ben Roethlisberger throwing him the ball, which could be a good thing because Ben is trying. We talked about it last week or earlier this week. Ben is going to try to break all the records that he can. He needs 4 touchdowns for 400. He's chasing Dan Marino on a lot of those records. So Ben's going to throw the ball a lot. And Juju would probably be the ultimate target for him because down the field, Claypool is probably going to be the one that gets double teamed. So you're right. There's a possibility that Juju could have great stats, but also the same old offensive line, or worse, is going to be run blocking. And Ben is not young. And honestly, I don't think Ben is still very good. He's certainly not a top-tier quarterback in this league. No, I mean, he's not at the bottom of the list either, but he's, I would say, slightly above average at best right now, considering some of the quarterback talent around the league. In fact, he's the 4th best quarterback in a 4-team division, if you think about it that way. Anybody would take Lamar Jackson over Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Burrow for sure, and Baker Mayfield. So he's really the 4th best quarterback in his division. If Juju's hoping to just cash in big this year and get great numbers and astronomical numbers to cash in huge next year on a contract, you're rolling the dice thinking that it could be Ben. And the worst thought after that is, what if Ben gets hurt? Then you're going to count on Mason Rudolph to throw you enough passes to get you a huge paycheck in free agency the following year? I think I'd like the guaranteed money if I'm him. So I think he just does genuinely want to be a Steeler for life. I think he really does, and I think that is probably the agreement that was had. Hey, this is what we can do for this year. Next year, the cap should be, if everything in our world goes back to somewhat normal. I know it's a question. It's a good question, will it? But I think it could be around $220 million. And that, I think, changes for him. That I think, gives him the opportunity. And really, for the Steelers, if he doesn't play well this season and you still have that agreement with him, well, then you can say, hey, we do want to make you a Steeler for life, and we'll absolutely agree to that deal, but the number's probably going to be a little lower. So for the Steelers, it's probably a really good signing. For Juju, I think it remains to be seen. But the Ravens and the Eagles both went after him pretty incessantly. We talked about this quite a bit yesterday, and really for the legal ramifications, more so than football ramifications, about Deshaun Watson. And normally I wouldn't talk about sports here, but I thought it just went relevant into this position because the Philadelphia Eagles, despite the fact that Deshaun Watson has about 9 accusers of sexual harassment, the Eagles are still all in on trading for him. And I wonder, and there's some interesting side roads here with this Deshaun Watson thing that we'll maybe talk about towards the end of the show where we usually get sports in. But yeah, the Eagles are still hot in pursuit. I think if you're the Texans now, I think if the Eagles are ready to work, then I think you would do it. Yeah, I absolutely think you would do it. Why? Holding on to somebody who has a questionable future, and you can get something for him now. The Eagles don't have a ton of property, I think, that the Texans are looking for as far as players on the roster, but certainly it looks like they're willing to give up quite a few in draft picks. If you're the Eagles, that's dumb because your team stinks. You're going to rebuild around Deshaun Watson with no draft picks, and really a team that didn't make the playoffs last year. I don't understand that move at all, but then again, that's why I don't get paid millions to be a GM in the National Football League. I think if you can unload Deshaun Watson now and someone's still willing to pay you a king's ransom for it, I would take it. I would take it. But again, the big news, Juju Smith-Schuster signs a 1-year deal with the Steelers. Says, I love you, Pittsburgh. They're going to have to get me out of here with a wrecking ball. Maybe he stays for life. I think it'd be okay. He's got to stop the TikTok in the locker room. I get it that he makes money from being on TikTok, and that's fine. I get it. I'm all for it. Just don't do it in the locker room. That's not the place, because that's not everybody wants to be in your video. Do it wherever else you are that people want to be involved. The locker room's not the place for it, but good signing for the Steelers nonetheless. We'll go ahead and take our break. We'll get you a news update. We'll come back with more stories, topics, and your phone calls. 304-214-1600. This is The Watchdog.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Chris Lawrence. Governor Jim Justice says the state has confirmed 20 additional COVID-19 related deaths that were not originally documented. It's the second time in less than a week the state's discovered more virus-related deaths. And the governor this morning called for a full investigation into what he calls underreporting.
I am really, really, really upset over the fact that whatever the means may be, we are being disrespectful to great West Virginians. If it's in my house, the DHHR, it will not be a good day.
In the previous report, the state said approximately 70 providers had not filled out a required state form when there's a COVID death. The governor also announcing today the state will open 3 fixed vaccination clinics across the state in an attempt to clear that list of those over the age of 65 who have signed up for a vaccine but are yet to get one. The governor announcing today that all school employees that wanted to be vaccinated have been. He says not everyone's taken advantage of the opportunity, though, and he says that is a, quote, foolish mistake. Hail damage in some parts of West Virginia from Thursday evening.
Pretty big. Not quite as big as a golf ball, but they weren't much smaller.
And that is Crystal Blankenship, who lives near Del Barton in Mingo County, had damage to her cars from that hail. There was also hail reported in parts of Lincoln and Wayne counties. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. It'll be a late night for Mountaineer basketball fans as WVU opens up NCAA tournament play tonight against Morehead State. The tip-off will be at 9:50, and Tony Caridi says WVU needs to take care of business, and it should.
This is a game that West Virginia is favored by double figures. If they play, to some level of what they are, they'll be fine in this one. But as you know, and we learned it several years ago against Stephen F. Austin,
yes.
Nothing is guaranteed.
From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Chris Lawrence.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on The Watchdog. I'm John Thayer. The NCAA tournament officially got underway last night with the first 4 and some thrilling games. On night number 1, Norfolk State knocked off Appalachian State 54-53. It was Drake 53 and Wichita State 52. Texas Southern a winner over Mount St. Mary's 60-52, and UCLA rallied to beat Michigan State in overtime 86-80. Matt Jones held the first round lead at 9 under par of the Honda Classic. He was 3 shots ahead of Aaron Wise and Russell Henley. Round 2 is underway today. The NASCAR Cup Series is in Atlanta this weekend on Sunday for the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. Sunday's afternoon race will be televised on Fox. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm John Thayer with the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on The Watchdog.
O'Reilly. Trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your car, like 5 quarts of O'Reilly full synthetic motor oil and a MicroGuard filter, just $26.99. Extend the life of your vehicle and improve performance with a synthetic oil change. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now is the perfect time to get a complimentary wealth planning review from a Fidelity representative. They can discuss ways to help grow and protect your wealth, from year-round tax-smart guidance to finding the balance between risk and reward across all your investments. Schedule an appointment to learn more about Fidelity's one-on-one approach to wealth management. Visit fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
There are times when you shouldn't ignore what your body is telling you, and you need to seek medical care. At Wheeling Hospital, we want you to know that we are taking every precaution to make your visit as safe as possible. We're screening visitors using the latest infection control technologies, offering telehealth for physician visits, and more. This is true throughout our campus, in our ER Trauma Center, our physician offices, surgical center, and on our patient floors. The pandemic isn't over, but be assured that at Wheeling Hospital, we are here when you need us.
Listen to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Weekday mornings 7 to 10 a.m. Only on the Watchdog. Live and local talk radio just the way you like it.
It's a great Friday song, Ram Jam. This is the Watchdog. Basketball-related notes, it's already getting mad. March Madness in full swing, and the Gators looked like they were about to win.
I know.
Handily. I mean, well, not handily, but easily, I should say. They had at one point here in the last couple of seconds, I think a 5-point lead. It's now knotted up and going to overtime. The Gators taking on the Hokies of Virginia State, a 7-10 matchup. So as it heats up, man, I got to I think it was Kayleen that said to me when I walked in, if you're going to lay around all weekend, which, the vaccine that I'm getting here this afternoon, it may make me tired. I may just want to lay around. What a great weekend to just lay around. My eyes will fall out from watching all the basketball if that's all I can do. The desire to go outside will be there, but I got to tell you, the madness of March may just keep me on the couch even if I feel just fine. We do have basketball action, of course, tonight. WVU taking on Morehead State. 8:45 will be the pregame, of course, just like you're seeing right now with the games going on, especially this Florida-Virginia Tech game. The games before it could go into overtime. So 8:45 is the start time for the pregame show, and they'll get the game on as soon as the game can go on. So don't get sideways if it's not exactly the time you think it should start. This is tournament basketball, everybody. You never know. The game in front of it could go 3 overtimes. You just don't know. So 8:45 coverage starts, and we will see you all the way through the game tonight. WVU taking on Morehead State. I saw this today too. It's one of the big stories that's going around. It's a trending topic. It's a hot one out there. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have updated its guidance for schools. This morning, they announced that it is now recommended that with universal masking, students should maintain a distance of at least 3 feet in classroom settings. Now, in my mind, it doesn't change anything for me. I have a couple of questions here. 304-214-1600. Get in on them if you have the same concerns, questions. Maybe you have a kid that's going to be a part of this new social distancing ruling here or guidelines. Is this too complicated? I feel like the 6 feet, we've been preaching that for a year, and that's been for everybody, and I get it. the transmission between kids is pretty low. I get all that. I'm happy about it. I love the fact that kids are going back to school. Universities are planning for all in-school learning, in classroom learning next year. I'm all for all of this, and I'm glad that they're there. But I mean, the rest of the story is, of course, it was 6 feet. Now, adults have to stay at least 6 feet away from kids, but kids can be within 3 feet of each other, and then they still have to maintain 6 feet distances in places their masks are off or in auditoriums. It's too much. I mean, is it just me, or is it too much?
It's too much.
I read this, and I'm like, why would you even say this? Now, my thought and wonder is, I know some places, not West Virginia necessarily, but some places still have kids that can, or parents that can opt to teach the kids at home or have them in online learning, and then have some kids.
I think they can here.
So I think it's been kind of going back and forth, because I remember Ohio County Schools was like, well, we're not going to do this, and everybody has to go back to school. Like, so I again, not having kids kind of makes this a little more of a puzzling thing, because I'm not in that position every day. But to me, the only reason I could see to even mess with these guidelines is to maybe the opportunity to say, okay, well, you can put more desks back in the classroom and to add more kids. But still, if they have to eat 6 feet apart and they have to be in the auditorium 6 feet apart, I'm sure they're not taking gym right now unless they're spread out everywhere doing calisthenics. They can't play. They're probably not playing ball and things like that because they can't be that close to each other. Why drop this information and make everything just, we got enough rules. Like, we got enough.
Well, this is just CDC guidelines, too.
Yeah.
It's still up to the governors, then it's up to the counties, it's up to the school boards. So I don't know why anybody's making a big deal about CDC. Nobody's listening to them.
I mean, seriously, could we listen less to what to do here? I mean, I get it. They have a job to do. And I appreciate that job. I'm sure there were things about what they do that help prevent making this worse and all those types of things. I just thought to myself, what a useless thing to put out there, because it's just yet another layer of school. I mean, somebody at the school board is going to bring this up, and I'm not saying anywhere local. It's just somewhere in America, somebody at the school board is going to go, I want these kids 3 feet from each other, and then somebody's going to go, I want them 7 feet, and then it's just going to be more of a fight. We got enough to fight about. To me, this was just like the most arbitrary, stupid thing that came out. If someone sees a good reason for this, to even put this information out there, I'd love to hear it. 304-214-1600. You can give us a call and talk about it if you want. I just thought it was like, here's yet another layer of this onion being peeled back. That it's just, we got to get to the end of this.
And
stop worrying about this.
It depends on the grade, too. High school is different. Then middle school is different. Then elementary school is different. If the CDC guidelines had been mandated across the country by the federal government, that would be one thing.
Yes, agreed.
But, the fact that it's up to the governors, and then it's up to the cities or counties and school boards, and, and the other thing that should have been mandated from the word go across the board was that teachers were included. All teachers, didn't matter about the age, all teachers had to get vaccinated when the vaccinations first started happening. Then a lot of these questions would be gone, because it's, teachers that have been relegated, young ones, to the bottom of the list it's not fair. You want the kids back in school, and then make it safe for the teachers too.
Really, just last week, Pennsylvania started to include their teachers in phase 1.
So phase 1.
So it's phase 1A that allowed 65 and over people with different. I mean, that's why I was able to do it, even though ultimately I didn't do it in Pennsylvania. But yeah, the teachers in Pennsylvania, the educators just got added to that list. So if you were an educator that didn't have a previous reason to get it, I mean, you could get it if you did, but if you didn't, you just had to wait. And it's like, how do you expect, if I was a teacher, I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, I have seen enough friends of mine who are teachers, seen them interact with their students. There's been times where, I've had a few teacher friends that have asked me to come in and talk about the radio industry to their classrooms. And I've seen how those classrooms are set up. I've seen the interaction between students and teachers, and they do get close. I mean, they're over top of the shoulder sometimes teaching something to some, I can't even imagine. And then a lot of my friends that teach younger kids, I mean, they legitimately sometimes, and this is heartbreaking to talk about, I know it's not really the subject we're on, but heartbreaking to talk about, I have a feeling sometimes when those kids hug their teachers, those young kids, that's the only probably
hug they get all day.
It's probably the only hug that they get. And that teacher is really the foundation of any possibility they have to move forward in life and understand that you can be taken care of, you can be hugged, and you can be loved in a certain way. And if you're a teacher and you want to be able to do those things, and honestly, you provide something so much more than just an education, so much more than just reading and writing and arithmetic. You are providing something there for a lot of young students. And I hate to say it, but really, I've seen this most in West Virginia. And that's just to say most of the teachers I know that teach young kids are living and working in West Virginia. But I'm astounded how in Pennsylvania it was just like, we'll get you in line when we get you in line. It's like, but you're telling them to go back to work? There's part of me tell you go to hell. I'm not doing that. And I think a lot of teachers West Virginia's had its fair share of teacher-state relations have not been good. I mean, let's just leave it at that.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been good. But yeah, getting teachers vaccinated and this whole thing, like I get it, it's a CDC thing and it's going to have to go to governors and then school boards and counties and all this kind of stuff. I just let it go. Let's just put all the efforts into solving the problem overall so we don't need any more rules. We don't need any more of this. We can all have the fun having the research to go back and read 5 years from now and go, oh, this is what happened and this is what we could have done. And if it happens again, here's a blueprint for the next time. Hopefully we'll be long gone before that happens again. But it's just, to me, it seemed like a giant waste of time and just another reason for people to get mad and fight with one another.
Another reason to doubt what's being told them about everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we spent enough time and still in this country are spending a lot of time doubting science. Before we wrap up this break, I will say this. The other day, yesterday, I went to post something to a friend of mine's timeline on Facebook. And he's a guy I've known for many years. I see him at a lot of the concerts and stuff that I get involved with. And I noticed that he wasn't on my friends list anymore. And so he has a friend that I also know that she was on my friends list that I was going to send it to her. She wasn't on my friends list anymore. And they're both absolutely positively against, they were all both extremely pro-Trump and extremely anti-vax. So probably the day I posted the fact that I got vaccinated was probably the last time they probably saw it and went, nope, done with him. Look, get it, don't get it, that's on you. But could you imagine you're mad at somebody because they got vaccinated? You don't have to like it, but why ruin friendships over that? We're going to take a break. We'll come back, get into more topics. We'll get your phone calls. We'll talk basketball. It is a great Friday here in the Ohio Valley. I'm Big Rick, that's Lola. It is Real Big Talk on the Watchdog.
Listen to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Weekday mornings, 7 to 10 a.m. Only on the Watchdog. Live and local talk radio, just the way you like it.
I'm not buying till I checked on Ford.
Most of us are faced with uncertainty every day. Your job, your finances, sporting events, schooling for your children, and so much more. With so much uncertainty surrounding you, there is one auto dealership that you can be certain about, and that's Doan Ford. You can be certain that you always get a great deal and the best service afterwards. Being in business for over 50 years has given Doan Ford the reputation of being a strong, reliable dealership. Be certain. Choose Doan Ford. Online at DoanFord.com.
I'm not buying till I check Doan Ford.
Glendale. The Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Glendale trusts the Watchdog.
Washington County's largest gun show is back on Saturday and Sunday, April 10th and 11th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Washington County Fairgrounds. Admission is just $7, and kids under 12 get in free with an adult. Everyone is welcome. They offer free appraisals and have great prices on all types of firearms, modern, military, and antique. They have over 450 tables with cash buyers on site for your used guns. Visit arhsportshop.com or call 724-948-3571 for more information. That's 724-948-3571 for more information. That's Washington County Gun Show, presented by ARH Sports Shop, April 10th and 11th.
It's ZZ Top. If you're looking to get into something other than basketball this weekend and you like documentaries, great ZZ Top documentary on Netflix. You can just go to the documentary section and check that out. Good stuff. Interesting stuff about the way ZZ Top came to be, some of the early works of ZZ Top, and really just incredibly candid. If you're ZZ Top, you don't have to care anymore about the things that you say and the stories that you tell. Really a good watch. Right now, basketball is very exciting. Florida 74, Virginia Tech 70, 23 seconds left on the clock. We've seen this before because it happened in the last part of this game to push it into overtime. So those that are clinging to that, either one of those teams in our Watchdog Madness bracket, just know one of you about to go down. We were talking about schools, and I just figured we wrap up this hour talking about some different things in schools. I saw this story. It's not this particular story is a newer story, but it's not. The story itself is something that has, I don't want to say plagued, but been a part of the changing culture of America for quite a while. A football coach in the state of Washington, he was fighting the school board in court after losing his job because he was having post-game prayers with his football team. The school claims that he was just trying to push religion more so than having a prayer and making sure that students were around to hear his word, essentially. Now, I will say this. I went to Catholic high school, so for me, this is just, that's what you did. Mm-hmm. You did. You had a pregame prayer. You had a post-game prayer. I'm pretty sure they had a prayer while we were on the field before the game started with the entire bleachers. But again, that's a Catholic school. So I get that that's kind of woven into, this is what you get if you're at Catholic school. And I don't have a problem with prayers, obviously. I'm just saying that it was probably, for a person who isn't that into prayers, it was probably overly prayer-ish to see all of that, if that's not your thing. But in public schools, I still would venture to say, especially right here, now Washington State is a lot different than the state of West Virginia, the state of Ohio, and the state of Pennsylvania. So we'll start there. But I think if you polled out of every 100 high school football teams, I'd say at least 80 of them, regardless if they're Catholic schools or public schools, have some sort of team prayer before game, after game, whatever. Is this a big deal? To me, it's not, but I think that might just be because of the space in which I participated in high school sports. Is it a big deal to you?
No. And if a kid doesn't want it, now, if it was mandated that they attend, that's one thing. But if a kid opts out of it, then what is the big deal? As long as it wasn't mandated.
Yeah,
as long
absolutely.
as the coach didn't say, you have to be here. It's freedom of choice.
Yeah, I don't. You can't pray on school grounds apparently, and that was an issue. I don't know. I think to me this is really a judgment call that yes, if you have a player that doesn't want to partake and wants to go sit in a different part of the locker room. That's not what this is saying. He's not saying that he corralled everybody and, tied them together. Yeah. I just think that I think if this is where lawsuits start, that we're going to have thousands of lawsuits exactly like this all over the country. You can't.
There already has been. This has been a bone of contention.
Yeah, for a long time.
Uber liberal states.
Yeah.
That, I don't know.
Yeah, to me, I thought, why are you claiming the guy wanted to push his beliefs? Yeah, you know what? I don't want anybody pushing their beliefs of any kind on me. And that's not just religion. If you come at me and tell me that the vaccine is bad, well, I'll respect your opinion, but I'll also politely tell you that I'm not going to change my mind. To me, it's the same thing with prayer. I used to work at a radio station that did a bike rally, and it was a bike ride from downtown all the way out to what was Star Lake for a concert, and the money went to charity. It was a really cool thing, and it was huge. We had to stage the bikes down at the PNC Park parking lot because there were that many. And we did, at the beginning of this, called a blessing of the bikes. Now, I can tell you for sure that not everybody that participated in this was Catholic, and some of which have no interest in God. But you know what? I didn't see one biker go, I'm not listening to this. They just politely bowed their heads, didn't participate, and just moved on. No one gets mad at the idea of having a blessing, whether you're into it or not.
What's wrong with a moment of silence?
Nothing.
At home, we always had a blessing of the fleet, which was just basically the start up to a drunken weekend. But, that's what it was, and I don't even know, it was just interdenominational.
Yeah.
It wasn't that a priest came out, although I have taken my dog and been blessed at a Catholic, had
Absolutely.
her blessed by a priest, and we're not Catholic. But, I figure, look, if you can get any help from above, take it.
Yeah,
absolutely take it.
My morality bank account could always use a deposit.
Yep.
And that's how I look at anything like that. I've talked to rabbis. I've talked to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I just think I think more than so much the belief in what exactly the person is saying is the idea that for them it's a big deal. For them it's a big deal. And if they want to take their time to pray for you or bless you in some way or some form, even if it's not your religion, even if you don't have a religion, just politely say thank you and move on.
I know.
Just move on. Why get so bent out of shape about it? But man, they do. They do. And you're right. It's, the state of Washington is one of those places where that is bound to happen. We're going to get into next hour a story about that NPR did about West Virginia and Jim Justice and all the things that he wants to do that are sort of similar to some of the things that the state of Washington, the state of Colorado also does. I think Jim might have a problem with some of these. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. 304-214-1600. This is The Watchdog.
Lose you, and I don't know where
Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in Atlanta this hour both visited CDC headquarters, taking a victory lap for the progress made so far. With vaccinations hitting 100 million in just 58 days he's been in office, he says America is working together to beat the virus.
The point is, the public is thankful to you because it's about science.
Later this afternoon, the president and vice president will meet with Asian community leaders just days after the Atlanta area shooting spree. The suspected gunman is charged with the murders of 8 people, 6 of them women of Asian descent. Georgia's capital is home to an estimated 21,000 Asian Americans, according to the Census Bureau. One woman at an Asian-owned business tells ABC News after hearing about the shootings at 3 separate spas, she felt they were targeted.
So at the beginning, I shouted they say some kind of hate, anti-Asian hate crime.
Police are still investigating and say it's too soon to determine the motive. At the border today, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas making his first visit since being sworn in to get a first-hand look at the influx of unaccompanied minors and asylum seekers.
For the first time, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, along with bipartisan ranking members of the Senate Homeland Committee, are in El Paso, Texas, amid a surge of people attempting to cross the southern border. The visit, which was closed to media, citing privacy and COVID restrictions, will be to a processing shelter where unaccompanied minors are being temporarily housed. The federal government is in custody of 14,000 young migrants, many of whom made the dangerous journey from Central America to the U.S. seeking asylum. Ika Jachi, ABC News, Washington.
In Minneapolis, jury selection continues with a 13th juror selected today. The judge in the trial of Derek Chauvin denying a defense request for a change of venue or delay in the trial. You're listening to ABC News.
Indeed knows unexpected demand can stretch your business thin.
Leon speaking.
Like at Leon's Plumbing.
Sorry, quickest we can get there is next Friday.
To stay out of hot water, he needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
My sweet cheeks feeling squeaky clean when Charmin's rolling behind the scenes. Charmin TP gives me those cheeky clean feels. That ultra strong hype is all for reals. Those TP rolls got me a Charmin clean took-es. Cheek to cheek feeling oh so shook-es.
Charmin Ultra Strong just cleans better. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
President Biden naming his pick to head up the space program.
President Biden has nominated former Florida Democratic Senator Bill Nelson to be the next administrator of NASA. Nelson flew on the Space Shuttle Columbia in 1986 as a member of Congress. He was a strong advocate for the NASA program while in the House and Senate. Nelson has long ties to President Biden. They served in the Senate together, and Nelson was a strong supporter of Biden during the 2020 election. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
After a year-long hiatus, Royal Caribbean and Celebrity are set to resume North American cruises sailing out of the Bahamas and St. Martin starting in June. The 7-day voyages will not leave or stop at any U.S. ports, allowing them to avoid CDC approval. Both cruise lines say adult passengers need proof of vaccination and children need proof of a negative coronavirus test. Bookings open next week. And just in time for tomorrow's arrival of spring, another blast of cold and dangerous weather.
Over the last 3 days, 32 tornadoes have been reported in 8 states from Oklahoma east to Virginia, including a 135-mile-an-hour EF2 monster in Wayne County, Mississippi. That storm system has meandered off the east coast, somehow having injured no one. Now, right behind it, another potential outbreak of severe weather is moving through California's Sierra Nevadas, dumping up to a foot of snow as it, too, heads toward the south and Midwest.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. This is ABC News.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents And Doug.
Breathe out
and repeat after me. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Your bird is eating my candles.
Your bird is eating my candles.
No, seriously, he's making a mess.
No, seriously, he's...
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
This is ONN.
Governor Mike DeWine says Ohio continues to nudge closer to the threshold needed for him to drop all health orders, but there is a way to go. ONN's Dave James has the details.
DeWine says Ohio needs to drop below 50 cases per 100,000 people.
2 weeks ago, we were just under 180 cases per 100,000 across the state. Last Thursday, 155. Today, we're at 143.8.
DeWine says 25 counties are below 100, and of those, 5 are below 50. Meigs and Vinton in southeast Ohio, and Auglaize, Mercer, and Shelby in western Ohio. Dave James, ONN News.
And many Ohioans who are working from home during the pandemic are still paying income taxes to the city in which their job is located, even if they're now working outside of that city. Mark Namick with affiliate station WKYC-TV in Cleveland reports.
Lawsuits are trying to stop this practice, arguing income taxes can be collected only by cities in which the work is being performed. The Buckeye Institute, a conservative-leaning advocacy group, has filed 4 lawsuits on behalf of employees no longer commuting to their jobs in Columbus, Cincinnati, and Toledo. The suits could force cities to refund millions of dollars. The law will expire 90 days after Governor DeWine lifts his emergency order, which could come soon. I'm Mark Namick.
Rulings against the cities could result in reallocation of tax funds, but the issue could take years to resolve. I'm Daniel Barnett on the Ohio News Network.
Do you have an oak tree in your yard? Well, this sound could be deadly for it this time of year. Oaks all over Ohio are being killed by a fungal disease called oak wilt. It's carried by a bark beetle that just so happens to love freshly cut oak. So certified arborists are reminding people to not prune oak trees during the warm weather unless it's for safety reasons. Find out more by finding an ISA certified arborist near you at treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
Rural King has always been committed to the lowest prices guaranteed and to what we believe are pillars in our communities, Christian churches and organizations. From now through March 27th, Rural King is excited to host Church Week. During Church Week, for each valid Rural King receipt submitted to us, Rural King will donate 10% to the registered Christian organization of your choice. Together, let's strengthen our neighborhoods. Visit ruralking.com/churchweek for details.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local, just the way you like it. For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Friday. Partly sunny skies, a daytime high near 52 degrees. The overnight low of 27 under mainly clear skies. Plenty of sunshine for your Saturday with highs in the lower 60s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors. He can talk up and down Route 2 and Route 7 at the same time. Just ask him. Keeping it real for your ride home. It's Real Big Talk with Big Rick on the Watchdog.
Yes, right between the sound machine. On the cloud of sound, I drift in the night. Any place it goes is right. Goes far, flies near. Two stars away from here. inside, girl. Let the sound take you away.
Welcome back to the Watchdog. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. Real Big Talk continues on this last day of winter. Looks pretty good. Sunshine is out. Looks like it could be a pretty decent weekend as well. Get out there and enjoy. Take a breath of fresh air. Help everybody. I think just everybody could use just a deep breath. Always. Always. I think that's the first thing any doctor should tell you to do. Before you take medicine, before you do this, to do that, just take a deep breath. Deep breath always helps. We spent a lot of time talking to Stephen Allen Adams from The Intelligencer. Steve is an old friend of mine, and we've been talking about state things for a long time. In fact, since Steve was just maybe, I think may have been a teenager when he came to work for me years ago at another radio station. And obviously, he knows a lot about what's happening in the state government. He seems to also fire up Big Jim every once in a while, which is fun to watch, quite frankly. But what is happening right now with Governor Justice wanting to eliminate 60% of the state income tax has a lot of different ins and outs. And Steve is usually the guy that we talk to about this. But I went ahead and did a little bit of reading about it last night and a little bit this morning. And I found that 3 days ago, NPR, and I never thought we would mention West Virginia and NPR as much as we have in the last month and a half. But it's coming up a lot. NPR has been doing a lot of positive stories about the state of West Virginia, a lot of which has to do with the vaccine rollout. But this story was kind of interesting, the way NPR views it, and the idea of losing 60% of the income tax. And will it bring people back to the state? Since 1950, the state of West Virginia has consistently lost population. And there can be a lot of different reasons for that. And some of them are obvious and some of them not so much. I mean, coal, big one. You know, when there's less jobs, people move to jobs. So we've had less coal jobs, people move. We have not been great at bringing new industry in to replace those jobs that go away. We're not, with the exception of some really great things that are being done medically in Morgantown, with obviously a lot more opportunity than most of the state has because of all the facilities in Morgantown. It's not like medically anybody is reinventing the wheel as far as innovation in things. And I mean, I had half of my left kidney removed in Morgantown by a guy who did it with a robot. And I didn't even know that existed until I needed to have a kidney removed. So, I mean, really, they do. But for the most part, if you go to the Ripley Medical Center, there's not a lot of innovation there. So we haven't in this state done a lot of things to say to people, you know what? This is going to be the new state for me. How many people do you know that pack up and go, well, I'm going to hit the bright lights of Broadway and I'm going to try to be a Broadway star, or I want to go to LA and be an actor, or Austin, Texas is the place for me, or whatever. No one really says that about West Virginia unless they want to move into a nice, quiet mountain community and ski. And that's really not that many people that do that. So consistently losing population. You can take the taxes part for what you want. The idea of paying 60% less for anything, everybody would go, that's appealing. I like paying 60% less than I pay now. However, it will not wash out, in my opinion. It will probably cost the opportunity to bring more things here. I look at, in the story that I was really concentrating on, is about breweries. And we've brought this up before, a little bit before. But you want to talk about the idea of microbreweries and craft breweries are very interesting because it doesn't get mass produced. It takes a brewmaster. It takes someone who knows what they're doing, and that's why it's more expensive. A lot of times it's often higher in alcohol content, but it's expensive because it takes time, and it's not mass produced. It's not the Anheuser-Busch company. It's a small independent person or a group of people or family or however it is making a product. And so if you're going to start taxing that product through the roof, people are going to drink less of them, And B, they're going to go to Ohio and Pennsylvania where they're cheaper. And that's just for our region. If you live closer to Kentucky, you can go there and everything is actually cheaper. If you're going to shop and you got 7.9% sales tax, you're going to shop everywhere else. I just don't see this plan working.
I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday that owns a restaurant, and she said, it will break them. They will be done. Besides the fact that they carry 100 different types of beer, so a lot of it comes from small breweries, the tax on liquor, the tax on soda pop. I mean, those are all the staples in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And for them then to be able to break even as far as all these horrendous taxes go, they're going to have to charge a whole lot more for the things on their menu, which people will stop going out to eat.
Yeah.
And it's just, it sounds good. It's a sexy headline. We're going to get rid of all the personal income tax. And it's just the most ludicrous idea I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, you look at me and say, hey, you don't have to pay taxes. I will probably shoot balls of fire out of my eyes. I'd be so happy. But this is not, at least the way it's presented here, I don't think has a chance to work. I think restaurant owners especially are going to take a beating. And let's face it, this isn't a huge secret. Restaurants make the most money off of selling you a glass of pop because it's like 4 cents in a cup of ice, and they can charge you $1.29 or $2.50 or whatever it is. And again, that's not a shot at a restaurant because they have to have the carbonation, they have to have the maintenance of the machines and things like that. But really, it is a nice markup and a chance to get ahead. You know, that $25 steak you're eating was probably at least a $15 cut of beef before it hit the grill. So it's not going to be easy. And when you're paying that much more for these things that you like to do, you're going to do them less often. And you're right, that is going to shut down restaurants. And right now, we really don't know how our restaurant industry is going to bounce back. I mean, they probably will have to raise prices a little bit here and there to try to level out from what just happened over the course of the last year. The interesting part about this NPR article to me about West Virginia is Jim thinks we're getting an amusement park. I mean, legitimately, this article says that he thinks the next Disney World or Dollywood could be in West Virginia.
Oh, it could be. And it could be in Lake Erie, for all we know. I mean...
Well, here's my point about what he referenced, Disney World and Dollywood. There are other destinations in and around those regions. If you go to Disney World, you're in Orlando. You can also go to Tampa. You can also go to the beach. You could go to, I think it's Kissimmee, I think is right there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, my knowledge of living in Florida was, I didn't go those places too often, but Tampa is right there. There are so many destinations in and around Florida that accompany Orlando, and it's easy to get to. I have flown into 5 different airports in Florida, and I lived there for under a year. So where is this thing going to go, and how are you going to access it? I mean, I have flown out of Yeager Airport plenty of times, and I assure you that no large planes are landing there for a destination if you put this thing in Charleston, which is the biggest place. Are you going to put it in Morgantown and just assume people will fly to Pittsburgh? It's just look, I dream big too. I dream big too. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but always the dream is big because you always want to believe that these things are possible. I don't know what it's like to be the governor of this state, but I can tell you this, I know what it's like to be a consumer in this state. And if I have the option of going to an amusement park that has other things around it, and it's easily accessible, or do I fly to Charleston and then have to sit in the car for 90 minutes that I had to rent because this thing's in Beckley? What am I going to do? This part of it is absolutely ludicrous.
Jim, talk to the Ohio County Commissioners. They've gone through this whole thing about a big amusement park coming up at the Highlands. That was before the Highlands even got as big as it
Yeah.
is. You know, there were plans. There were plans for an amusement park and a huge water park, and kaboom, nothing ever came of it. So,
And the Highlands actually makes sense more so than anywhere else because you could fly from Pittsburgh and go there.
well, and you've got land.
Yeah, there's
You've got
land we
land.
got. Land is not the issue.
You know, you've got to have easy access, and if you start picking places that have a lot of land, first of all, you've got to clear it, you've got to level it. You know, so much of the state is hilly.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and you've got to have access to it, which, let's face it too, ask any of these guys that have been doing football, high school football, and the places they have had to go
Absolutely.
to get to a game are just good for them. I'm glad it's them and not me, you know? It was like, well, you go up to the stop sign and keep going until you think you can't go any further, and then keep going past that. You know, so just because there's uninhabited areas does not mean that they will automatically be suitable for, that's why we don't have a lot of, that's why the cracker plant is going across the river, when the cracker plant actually starts to get built. Because there wasn't any area big enough anywhere up here that could have accommodated all that. It wasn't flat enough.
You're right. That is the contour of this land is certainly difficult to maneuver around, especially when you need all that flat space. I have done a game where we're getting ready to go to a break. I have done a game at West Virginia Tech, just below Charleston, and their football field is up on a hill, and it's kind of an interesting thing to do a football game high up on a hill, but they have exactly 121 yards in which to work, so that gives you an end zone of 10 yards on each end, 100 yards, and it's seriously a drop-off, and those players are held in by a fence. And I can't even draw the picture of this enough to tell you that I have seen guys catch the football in the end zone and hit the fence in order to not roll down the hill. That is not going to lend itself easily. And yeah, I mean, the highway is there, I guess, you know, and that's right as you get to the West Virginia Turnpike at that area, but it's not easy to access. And really the Highlands, I guess, I never really thought about the idea of it being at the Highlands or at least in that area, but at least there is an easily traveled, well-traveled road that intersects people would come. Because there's a water park on 70 going into Columbus. But again, if you go there with the family for the day, you have how many options to go out and eat because you're in Columbus. It's a little bit different for the state of West Virginia. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm not just dismissing the idea of the state growing. I want to see the state grow. I love this state. I just don't see that this is going to be the thing that grows it, and hoping that people want to pay 8% on pretty much everything they buy, and banking on the idea of the next Dollywood popping up in Beckley. I'm not willing to go ahead and bet the farm on that just yet. We're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll come back with more topics on the Watchdog.
Tune in to Marshall County's second favorite son, Donnie Gilbert, Fridays from noon to 2 on the Valley's only network dedicated to live and local talk radio, The Watchdog.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
The weather will affect you every day, whether it's good or bad. The Storm Tracker 7 weather team is here to make sure you're never surprised. You can trust us to help you plan your day.
36 degrees here in Wheeling.
On TV, online, on your phone, our experienced meteorologists are here to help you prepare for what's ahead. Watch the Storm Tracker 7 weather team with Zach Petty, Aaron Myler, and me, Dr. Dave Walker. Weather coverage you can count on, working for you.
In a divided year, we can still be united through giving. There's a $300 above-the-line tax deduction this year thanks to the CARES Act. You can take a $300 deduction for charitable donations. As an organization that promotes giving, the United Way of the Upper Ohio Valley encourages you to utilize this tax deduction. Consider making a donation to a nonprofit agency with a cause that's important to you. Any donation made to the United Way will go towards our annual campaign supporting local programs focusing on the community's toughest needs.
This is a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test. This concludes this test of the emergency alert system. If this had been an actual emergency, you would have been told where to tune for news and official information. WKKX serves the Wheeling operation.
The Watchdog prides itself in being involved in our community, and we want to hear from you. Does your organization have an event that you would like promoted on the radio? Please send us the details via our website, watchdognetwork.com. Just click on our contact page and fill the information. Live, local, and here for our community. Share your events with the Watchdog.
326. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. This is Real Big Talk. Lola, I wanted to bring this up to you. I know you're a big fan of the blues and obviously the Blues Festival, and fingers crossed that we get those types of things back. One of my favorite blues artists is Kenny Wayne Shepherd. I think most blues fans would agree Kenny Wayne is pretty good at playing that guitar. Kenny Wayne Shepherd was nominated for Album of the Year for the Blues Awards. Just today, well, I guess it was technically yesterday, the story came out today, Kenny Wayne Shepherd's nomination has been rescinded by the organization that gives out the awards because in his car collection, he has a replica of the General Lee.
Oh my.
This is what's happening. Not only that, Kenny Wayne Shepherd's father, Ken Shepherd, sat on the Blues Foundation's board. They have asked him to step down and not be on the board anymore because Kenny Wayne Shepherd owns this replica car. By the way, he has owned it and had it built to look just like the General Lee 17 years ago. Not today, not yesterday, last year, or even last decade. 17 years he's owned this car. But with the mounting pressure, and here's what I don't like. I'm getting this story from Billboard.com if you want to read. It's Billboard magazine. Billboard.com if you want to check out the story. But the foundation says it's a decision to rescind the nomination is keeping in with the statement against racism that they posted on March 15th, which asserts the Blues Foundation unequivocally condemns all forms and expression of racism, including all symbols associated with white supremacy and the degradation of people of color. Now, obviously those are things that are bad. We don't want anybody to feel anyway like that, because they're wrong. That's wrong. To make someone feel that way, to degrade people of color, is bad. To own a replica of a car that you loved as a kid, to me, does not seem bad. I understand how people feel about the flag itself, and I'm not talking about the flag itself. What I'm talking about is the man bought a replica, or created a replica of the car. I got news for you. A lot of kids grew up watching that show and saw that car. And I get how people feel about the flag. And I'm not even arguing the point. But what does that have to do with the way that God plays the blues? I don't understand that part at all. Now, the article also goes on to mention Morgan Wallen, who at the time when he did what he did, which was he was caught on the video using a racial slur, and it essentially ruined his public career, at least as of now, although the sales of his music went through the roof because radio stations across America stopped playing it. Kenny Wayne Shepherd really only has a couple of songs that would be played on radio stations across America, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to pull that. I think the two things are different. What do you think, Lola? I think they're different.
Oh, I do too. I agree. This idea that we have to erase history to make things right, I think is wrong. The whole point of remembering history is so as not to make the same mistakes again. And to start with revisionist history is just, you can't take it away. If we started trying to, I watched a thing last night about The Searchers, that John Wayne movie. And it was basically, John Wayne was really not a very nice man in it.
I guess he wasn't a nice man in real life either.
Well, he was a Republican. But
okay.
That character was searching out Native Americans, and in fact, genocide was part of it. But rather than say, no, we should not ever have this movie on again, you need to talk about the issues that are brought up in that movie. And at first they started talking about John Ford and how, but he made this turnaround with his later movies to press the point of some of the things that were brought up in his earlier movies, to kind of reverse it. And that's what we need to do with this. To say that because somebody owns a replica of that car makes them, in essence, what they're saying is promulgating the idea of racism and of the Confederacy is just, it's not right. It's not right. You need to discuss the ideas behind it. And I get so upset that we just want to, now I hate this term.
I know.
But cancel out everything that has happened in the past is not going to change future actions if you don't talk about it. It's just ridiculous.
Kenny Wayne Shepherd does go on to say, hey, I realized that years ago that this symbol hurts people. But why should he have to get rid of a car? I mean, it's not like he just made his brand new video in March of 2021 in front of a giant Confederate flag. He owns a replica of a car, a famous car from a famous series that a lot of us grew up on. We got a phone call?
Yep, it's Tom.
Hey, Tom, what's up?
I was dying to call you guys. I just watched this. I've got a really mundane life, and I was sitting there watching the West Virginia legislature for the last 2 hours. And they want to take down this Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah, I'm actually going to talk about that a little later in the show about the bill. No, you're fine.
I flipped you guys back on, and you're talking about the General Lee. I mean, you've got to admit the Confederate flag isn't exactly like the Nazi swastika. You follow me?
Well, I will say this: They're both found very offensive to a lot of people. And so deciding which one is more or less is, that's a moral decision that I'm too mortal of a man, I suppose, to make. All I can say is this: if he made a video last week in front of a Confederate flag, that to me is a problem. The fact that he owns
could you fill me in on that part of it, man?
Okay, so Kenny Wayne Shepherd was up for a Blues Award for Album of the Year. And they have rescinded his nomination for this award because he owns this 17-year-old, he had it made 17 years ago, replica of the General Lee.
It should be 37 years old.
Well, no, but he had it made 17 years ago. He acquired the car.
I get you, but
yeah.
I mean, the Dukes of Hazzard was on like 1977 or something. Okay, so.
But that's the idea. So they asked his father, who was on the board, to step down and has rescinded his opportunity to win. And what I'm saying is, because you own this car, what is he supposed to do? Does he have to get this thing that he had as a child that he probably, and I don't know the guy, maybe he is a raging racist. I don't know.
No, he loved the General Lee. Kenny Wayne Shepherd bought the General Lee, and his dad was on the board of what?
Of the Blues committee that rescinded his.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they had his dad resign, and they rescinded his opportunity to win. So to me, it seems like just because there are plenty of good people out there in the world that are collectors of war memorabilia. And there are plenty of good people, who own pieces of Nazi war history that aren't Nazis. To me, it falls into the same category of this guy loved this show as a kid. He had the means and the opportunity to create a car that looked just like it.
Oh, he reproduced it.
Yeah, he reproduced it, and he reproduced it 17 years ago, and now all of a sudden he can't win a Blues Award in 2021. To me, that's just stupid.
Who was the one guy? Who was one of the Blues Brothers? Dan Aykroyd. What's he got to say about it?
I don't know.
He's got to be on the Blues board. You know what I mean? Isn't Dan Aykroyd one of the big, the Beale Street?
Dan Aykroyd is certainly big into the Blues. Tom, we're up against the break, man. I appreciate you calling.
Come on, man. All right.
We are going to take a break. Just listen, I promise you. Commercials are coming up. Have a good one, Tom. Yeah, so, it's to me, it's just an outlandish idea to rescind somebody's ability to play blues in 2021 because in 2004 they had a car made that you don't like. To me, ridiculous. We'll be back with more on the Watchdog.
The Mountaineers are ready to shoot their way to the second round of the NCAA tournament. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report.
Did you know that 1 in 8 Americans struggle with hunger? Yet more than 40% of the food we produce is thrown out. At Kroger, we know we can do something about this. We're donating more food to local food banks through our partnership with Feeding America. And we're working with World Wildlife Fund to end food waste. But we can't do it alone. And we hope you'll join us in creating a world with zero hunger and zero waste. Visit thekrogerco.com to learn how you can help.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on backyard favorites like grill-ready hamburgers and fresh-picked strawberries? Then shop at Kroger. We give you more ways to save on the fresh you love with tools like the Kroger app, where you can find personalized coupons on top of weekly sales. Plus, rewards like fuel points, giving you prices that are lower than the everyday low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
If the Mountaineer basketball team is going to be successful in the NCAA tournament, it has to make shots. It's a refrain that head coach Bob Huggins uses over and over and over again. Well, specifically as it goes into tonight's game against Morehead State, who needs to make those shots? Well, there's a lot of guys, but one guy in particular has been a catalyst for West Virginia all season, and that is junior guard Sean McNeil. Earlier this week, head coach Bob Huggins was asked how he was able to locate and then successfully recruit McNeil to WVU.
Obviously, I know most people in Ohio, most basketball people in Ohio, and I kept getting calls. Hugs, you got to go see this guy. You got to go see this guy. So, obviously, I went to Dayton and watched some practice and really fell in love with him as a person, I think. First and foremost, he's a great human being, but it's even better that he can make shots. And the more I watched him, the more I liked him. I thought he would fit in great with us. He's a lot like the guys that we have, just really good, kind of unassuming people that love basketball and love to work at their game of basketball. So he fit in perfect with us.
We invite you to join us here tonight on MSN for our pregame coverage, which begins at 8:45, and tip-off is set for a little bit after 9:50 this evening. West Virginia
and Morehead State, we invite you to join us. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield. I am G.
This is your VSiN action update on the Watchdog. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
NCAA tournament is underway. The first four yesterday. UCLA in overtime beat Michigan State 86-80 as a 3-point dog. Win paid out plus 140 on the money line. The total of 133.5 went over at 166. That was the only game to go over yesterday as the unders went 3-1. Coming up today, Villanova in action as a 6.5-point favorite against Winthrop at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum. Total 144. Winthrop has won 44 of its last 47 games. It's West Virginia in action against Morehead State at Lucas Oil Stadium. Mountaineers laying 13. For VSiN.com, I'm Mike Sennett on the Watchdog.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Want to buy your own home but think you can't afford it? What if you got down payment assistance or a discounted interest rate just for being a recent college grad, teacher, nurse, or veteran? The Ohio Housing Finance Agency offers this and more, and our programs are always available for eligible Ohioans, big city, small town, and everywhere in between. Find out if you qualify at myohiohome.org. That's myohiohome.org. Home ownership, ready when you are.
Did you know that 3 Ohioans are diagnosed with oral cancer every day? Dentists are doctors of dental surgery and can recognize life-threatening conditions and treat oral diseases before they become serious health complications. Ohio Dental Association member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care. Ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association and American Dental Association so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Does this current crisis leave you wondering how to pay your bills? Well, a lot of people are struggling right now. I'm attorney Tom McIntyre. Call me today to schedule your telephone or video conference meeting, and I will send you a copy of my new book about bankruptcy, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Call 877-456-4155. Together, we will figure out what to do now and what to do when this is over. We will get through this together.
Tune in to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, weekday mornings 7 to 10 a.m. on the Valley's favorite live and local talk radio station, The Watchdog.
Real Big Talk is on the Watchdog. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. On my TV currently, Ohio State down by 3 to Oral Roberts. That's a 2:15 game with about a minute 50 left to go here in the first half of that one. So don't panic, Ohio State fans. Although I just took a quick scroll through my social media just to see if any news was breaking, and it was just filled with my Ohio State friends freaking out. You're probably going to beat Oral Roberts. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay, Buckeyes. Sorry, you're still the most unreasonable fan base in the history of fandom. I love you. But my goodness, the way Buckeye fans get sideways about anything, it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Oral Roberts probably not going to put up too much of a fight. You're going to be fine. Oh, I see the phone ringing. There could be an Ohio State fan who's ready to yell at me. I will say that also with take it with a grain of salt. Mountaineer fans also get crazy, except Ohio State, and I hate to say this, the difference is Ohio State consistently, when they find themselves in big games, they either get there and they win them. The Mountaineers always seem to just get a day late and a dollar short, and that's why the fan base is unreasonable, because the expectations, I think, sometimes are far overweighing.
I have a rant. Have a rant.
Let it go.
That was another one of these Police Officer Association charity calls. They do not shut up. I know they're told, you just keep right on talking until, I'm trying to tell this guy, this is a radio station. You didn't get a household that can, that would donate. This is a radio station. And he would not shut up. I can't say what I want to say. I am censoring myself now to the nth degree. It's just really infuriating. I don't know how they get anybody to donate because they don't shut up. They're rude.
I feel bad. I feel bad when it's like you're calling me, and it's not that I don't wish or want to help the police, but I'm in the middle of something. I go seek out the charities that I want to help.
That's right.
And calling me will make me never want
to do it.
Speaking of, I know it's a different thing, but it was on my list. I was going to get to it next hour, but we'll talk about it now since you brought up. Phone calls can get really super annoying, and a lot of people are getting them, and we're getting them more and more. And now we're sitting targets because we're at home. We're home more often, and we carry our phones everywhere. So being super accessible is not an easy thing, but we all are. This is, I guess this is good news. I don't know if it stops anything or not, but the Federal Communications Commission, I know them well, issued its largest fine ever of $225 million to Texas telemarketers who sent about 1 billion robocalls falsely claiming to sell health insurance for Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and other companies. $225 million, the fine there. Look, it's never going to stop. And now, I mean, we first saw this like before we had cell phones, like so accessible. We had spam emails. It's like that they created a spam folder because there's a lot of things that come to your, a junk folder. It's just absolute garbage. It's legitimately junk. And now we have these robocalls. And I can't tell you how many times my car warranty has expired.
I know.
My car warranty, honestly, there's a part of me that has just, at this point, so much intrigue just to press the button and find out what they try to sell you on. But I won't do it. But yeah, hopefully the FCC cracks down on this type of stuff because it is driving me mad.
I've been getting, in essence, soft porn texts.
Those are from me.
Oh.
No, I'm not just kidding. They're not from me.
And yeah, my sister, who has not owned a car in 30 years, keeps getting that her car warranty has. And you're right. I've been tempted to hit it so that if you get a real person, you can say, take me off your list. But you know what? That doesn't matter.
No.
That doesn't matter. And I have more pages on my phone of blocked numbers. And, they say, well, report them all. How can you? The number is never the same.
No. And they have those duplicator things that can create a phone number that looks very similar to your phone number, thinking, well,
I've called myself.
Yeah.
I mean, it came up Lola Miller, and I'm thinking, well, damn, did I just have some kind of hallucination thing?
I know, it's pretty wild. Do we have somebody on the line?
Yes. Go ahead, Edward.
Come on. Hey, Shouldn't they take that $224 million and extrapolate it and give all of us phone abusers or abusive like $8 back or something? I mean, come on.
Well, this is
why does the Justice Department always suck up this money, and what's that all about?
Well, this was just in the state of Texas. I know $225 million seems like a lot of money, but this was just one suit. It's the biggest one ever, and it took place in the state of Texas. So this, basically what would have to happen, because that's an interesting, this is the FCC.
Yeah, but it went all over the United States, no doubt, and stuff,
Oh, yeah.
Well, they were trying to, they were trying to sell insurance in every state, but they were falsely representing these other companies. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're definitely not going to give you $8. I can tell you that.
Hey, but me, besides watching West Virginia legislature like all afternoon and stuff, I never would do this because splashing bubbles and Daniel Tiger is so much more interesting than watching the West Virginia legislature. But however, I get like 7 channels out of Athens. Like the Ohio University.
Yeah.
But I get like seven channels now. And one of them they show like the Supreme Court and just like it's the Ohio legislature and stuff, and they were debating. They're trying to pass a law in Ohio where they will, when the guy was standing on George Floyd's neck, and those guys were saying, "Hey man, he's dying, he can't breathe," Well, this guy that was reading the thing off, he was leaving, throwing out I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's saying, "Hey man, I can't effing breathe," and all this. And they had this cop that he was answering the thing. He goes, "So you're saying that if a pedestrian is standing there and you're watching a cop suffocate this guy, that he's going to serve 90 days in jail if he, obstructs justice and tells you to like back it off a notch and stuff?"
There's some different laws out there, and again, Tom, you called right when we're ready to take a break. But
it's 10 minutes till.
Don't argue.
Whatever. I'm not trying to argue with it, but it is interesting when you watch all this stuff, and if you have cable, you don't even get any of this stuff that I'm talking about. Stuff that in any event.
Well, yeah, there's some things too, and like I said, we are going to take this quick break, but there are some things, Tom, that bystander laws. In fact, the show Seinfeld was actually ahead of its time. The way that it ended, that is actually how the series ended. As
the Good Samaritan law.
Yeah, the Good Samaritan law. So yeah,
that's the Good Samaritan law.
Yeah, but I think it's probably with the advent of video taking place.
No, but if those pedestrians would have kicked that cop off George Floyd's neck, he wouldn't have died. He might have suffocated on the pills that he was trying to swallow.
Well, that again is a different place. Tom, have a great weekend, man. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Sure. Yeah, the Good Samaritan laws and things like that are being looked at all over the country for that exact purpose. Everybody has a phone camera in their hand. We're going to take this quick break. We'll be back to wrap up the hour on the Watchdog.
This guy knows so much about sports. They based the Sports Almanac from Back to the Future off of his dream journal. He's Bill DeFabio, weekdays noon to 2 on the Valley's only network dedicated to live and local talk radio, The Watchdog. Adina, the Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Adina trusts the Watchdog.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger.
While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
How many people are saying, don't bring me down to a particular team right now in their bracket of 64? Ohio State finds itself at the half, down by 3. So many people looking at ruined brackets, and there's always that one team that ruins your bracket. That's why this year I'm betting the tournament on FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook, because on FanDuel, your first bet is risk-free. It doesn't matter if you're betting WVU. It doesn't matter if you're betting Morehead State. Maybe you're that guy. New users get up to $1,000 in site credit back if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel has odds on all the action with games day and night. It's an easy-to-use app, multiple deposits, and fast withdrawals, and always on promotions. Your next chance to win with FanDuel is only minutes away. My goodness, there's so much basketball. You could bet so many different things right now. It's unbelievable. Betting the tournament is like, look, you were doing this long before FanDuel had a sports app. I can tell you that. Everybody has been doing these brackets for a long time. Now you can keep track of everything and all your bets at one time on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. If that's not enough, FanDuel wants to make you a millionaire. Yes, you, a millionaire. They're giving away $1 million to one lucky bettor. New and existing users get an additional shot at the payout every day you bet the tourney. So, if you want a shot at becoming a millionaire or even a thousandaire, download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Just use promo code RIC, that's R-I-C, to let them know that I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code RIC. Must be 21 and over and present in PA or West Virginia. No purchase necessary. Restrictions apply for $1 million drawing. Risk-free offer is for online real money wager only. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires within 14 days. Restrictions do apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem in West Virginia? Visit www.1800gambler.net. As the tournament continues and we get into really a sports heavy weekend, a gloriously sports heavy weekend. There's Penguins action. There's all the basketball you can want. People outside playing golf. Good stuff. Make sure that you are looking at the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I never realized how easy it was to use, but I think about all the days in college, and let's just not lie to each other here. We were doing it on paper and handing it to a guy with $20 that lived in the dorm room down the hall, and you had no idea what was going on with it. All you could do was go to the library, pay 10 cents, make your copy, and cross your fingers. The FanDuel Sportsbook app makes it much easier than that. So far, haven't really gotten into a lot of the tournament talk to see what's going on. I will check that here at the break, see if there are any Cinderellas dancing as of now. But Ohio State, Buckeye fans, relax. They're only down by 3 at the half. We'll be back with more right here on the Watchdog.
My baby's dressed up, she's raring to go. I got a Jones for the moon of a jukebox. I like the two-step, she likes to rock. That clock on the wall, it rings, it chimes. Spirit 30, a honky tonk time. Life's too short, let's get to living it. Let's give it all we can give it. Let's
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. This afternoon, President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are meeting behind closed doors with members of the Asian community about the growing violence and in the wake of the Atlanta area shooting spree. A 21-year-old gunman has been charged with 8 counts of murder. 6 of those deaths were women of Asian descent. Earlier this week, Cherokee Sheriff's Department indicated after interviewing suspect Robert Aaron Long, he claimed to have a sex addiction and may have lashed out. Police say it's too soon to determine a motive, including a hate crime. B.J. Pack is an Asian American and former U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia.
One thing that I am very concerned about is the victim shaming in terms of getting into the stories of what these victims were doing at particular types of businesses. That's a distraction, and so I think we need to focus on the cause and the motivation behind why these things are happening and why these victims were senselessly killed.
Earlier, the president and vice president visited CDC headquarters in Atlanta. Biden thanking researchers and saying the U.S. is starting to turn a corner in this pandemic with vaccinations and safety measure policies because he's following science.
This is the beginning and the end of not paying attention to what's going to come again and again and again and again.
The CDC also changing its recommendations when it comes to social distancing in the school classrooms.
K through 12 schools are now being told by the CDC that students can be 3 feet apart instead of 6 feet in classrooms with a few exceptions, and teachers must still be 6 feet away from students and other adults. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky says it should allow more schools that haven't had enough room to distance 6 feet to reopen.
I want to emphasize that these recommendations are specific to students in classrooms with universal mask wearing.
But one large teachers union is pushing back, saying it wants to see more evidence that it's safe. Alex Stone, ABC News.
You're listening to ABC News.
Cleanliness and safety are essential to the success of any business. That's why Cintas has introduced our Total Clean program, a one-of-a-kind service that includes scheduled deliveries of essential cleaning supplies, hygienically cleaned uniforms, and on-site sanitizer and disinfectant services to help eliminate germs. Learn what the Cintas Total Clean program can do for you. Oh, I'm ready! Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Indeed knows unexpected demand can stretch your business thin.
Leon speaking.
Like at Leon's Plumbing.
Sorry, quick as we can get there is next Friday.
To stay out of hot water, he needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
A judge today denied a request to move the murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Jarrett Chauvin, charged with killing George Floyd. One more juror is also needed for the trial. The investigation into the behavior of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is expanding.
The governor's former aide, Anna List, told our affiliate WHAM in Rochester that investigators have opened a line of inquiry about Cuomo's network of aides and advisors, one of whom, she said, called her preemptively after allegations against the governor first surfaced.
Someone very, very close to the governor believed that I could either be a danger to him or an asset to him.
Liz said she provided investigators with names of about a dozen other women during her 2-hour-long interview. Aaron Katursky, ABC News, New York.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson getting an AstraZeneca coronavirus shot today after EU regulators said that the vaccine poses no substantial risk of blood clots. The French Prime Minister also getting the jab as Paris heads into another lockdown. Here's ABC's Inez de la Cotera.
Interregional travel will be banned and only essential shops will stay open. That includes hair salons and bookstores, though restaurants and cafes will remain closed. France was already under a nationwide 6 p.m. curfew, which will now start at 7 p.m. This comes as hospitals in the Paris region and other parts of France are running out of intensive care beds.
Germany also reportedly warning its residents it could be next to go into lockdown again. This is ABC News.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Most people know that Mr. Clean Magic Eraser removes crayon and scuff marks from walls, but did you know it even cleans tough kitchen and bathroom messes that are sometimes tough to tackle? Just wet, squeeze, and erase gray soap scum on your bathtub. Erase cloudy hard water spots in your shower. Erase burnt-on stovetop messes. So for all your tough kitchen and bathroom messes, try Mr. Clean Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
This is ONN.
Governor Mike DeWine says Ohio continues to nudge closer to the threshold needed for him to drop all health orders, but there is a way to go. ONN's Dave James has the details.
DeWine says Ohio needs to drop below 50 cases per 100,000 people.
2 weeks ago, we were just under 180 cases per 100,000 across the state. Last Thursday, 155. Today, we are at 143.8.
DeWine says 25 counties are below 100, and of those, 5 are below 50. Meigs and Vinton in southeast Ohio, and Auglaize, Mercer, and Shelby in western Ohio. Dave James, ONN News.
And many Ohioans who are working from home during the pandemic are still paying income taxes to the city in which their job is located, even if they're now working outside of that city. Mark Namick with affiliate station WKYC-TV in Cleveland reports.
Lawsuits are trying to stop this practice, arguing income taxes can be collected only by cities in which the work is being performed. The Buckeye Institute, a conservative-leaning advocacy group, has filed 4 lawsuits on behalf of employees no longer commuting to their jobs in Columbus, Cincinnati, and Toledo. The suits could force cities to refund millions of dollars. The law will expire 90 days after Governor DeWine lifts his emergency order, which could come soon. I'm Mark Namick.
Rulings against the cities could result in reallocation of tax funds, but the issue could take years to resolve. I'm Daniel Barnett on the Ohio News Network.
Do you have an oak tree in your yard? Well, this sound could be deadly for it this time of year. Oaks all over Ohio are being killed by a fungal disease called oak wilt. It's carried by a bark beetle that just so happens to love freshly cut oak. So certified arborists are reminding people to not prune oak trees during the warm weather unless it's for safety reasons. Find out more by finding an ISA certified arborist near you at treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
Rural King has always been committed to the lowest prices guaranteed and to what we believe are pillars in our communities, Christian churches and organizations. From now through March 27th, Rural King is excited to host Church Week. During Church Week, for each valid Rural King receipt submitted to us, Rural King will donate 10% to the registered Christian organization of your choice. Together, let's strengthen our neighborhoods. Visit ruralking.com/churchweek for details.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local. Just the way you like it.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Friday. Partly sunny skies, a daytime high near 52 degrees. The overnight low of 27 under mainly clear skies. Plenty of sunshine for your Saturday with highs in the lower 60s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors. Keeping it real for the right, keeping it real for the left. 100% real talk is right here. Real Big Talk continues. Now on the Watchdog, here's Big Rick.
It's about 10 after 4. Getting ready to roll into the weekend, big basketball weekend. The Ohio State Oral Roberts game just got into the beginning of this second half. Lots of things happening around the world, things happening today. It borderline makes me mad that I'm going to mention it. I don't know if I'm mad at myself or I'm just mad that it happened, or I don't know. But boarding a plane today, President Biden tripped. He had a difficult time going up plane steps. Well, I've done it too. We've all done it. And the man is 78 years old. And people's reaction to this is so poor and disgusting that I don't even know what to say about it. Like I just...
When you don't say anything at all.
I mean,
it's...
At the end of the day, the guy's 78. Being happy that a 78-year-old fell down makes you a jerk? It just does. I mean, questioning the idea of whether he should or shouldn't be president, should he have run, that's water under the bridge, really. There's nothing you can do about it. He's there. Whether he's there for 4 years, 8 years, whatever else, all remains to be seen. But the fact that there are people making fun of a senior citizen that fell up some steps, you're a jerk. Sorry.
I can't even begin to count the number of times I have done that.
Me too.
Because
I'm 43. I'm half as, less than, maybe not half.
Your toe catches the step.
Yeah.
As you're going up. I asked my chiropractor how many times I have done that.
I wear a size 14 shoe. Let me tell you, plane steps aren't easy for anybody that has a big foot. I oftentimes do that. I don't know. But it's just seeing people like celebrating the fact that an old man fell up some steps. What's wrong with you? Get it together. Well, he did fall up the steps regardless on his way to Georgia. He's visiting Georgia, so is the vice president, as the United States shatters its goal of 100 million vaccine shots in 100 days. In fact, I think it is the 58th day or 59th day of his presidency. So good news there is ahead of schedule. And again, people want to make this a political thing. If Donald Trump would have won and he would have, 60 days into his next 4 years, would have said, "Hey, we're going to have 100 million shots in arms," I would have cheered just as loudly. That's good news. I don't know why that particular piece of news has to be a part of the political landscape either, but it is good news. And what they're saying with the production, the Biden administration says they're distributing nearly 2.2 million shots per day and thinks it is possible with vaccine ramping up that they could get to 200 million in the next 41 days or so. Have at it. Don't let me stop you. Get in there. Get as many arms as you can. One thing, we didn't talk about this yesterday, and this is a yesterday story, but plays into the Biden administration and vaccines. Did you see the United States is sending 4 million AstraZeneca doses, 2.5 million to Mexico, and I think 1.5 going to Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Look, that's, to me, it's a solid gesture, because if they're just sitting in a warehouse, someone should get them in their arms, and AstraZeneca is not yet been approved in the United States, and it has come with, and there has been a study put out today that says AstraZeneca is not the problem that's leading to people having blood clots that get it. It is happening. It's not it doesn't seem to me like it's a coincidence that it's happening. So AstraZeneca is not on the list, one of the 3 that's being distributed in the United States, but we have them. Someone should use them.
Well, it's going to be approved within the next week or so. 37 people have developed blood clots out of 1.5 million doses. Offer it to people. If you've had problems in the past, perhaps with blood clots or that kind of thing, then opt out of that one. But to deny 1.5 million people a vaccine over 36 and they don't even know that there's a real correlation, except the fact that they had gotten a shot and then blood clots. But I agree with them giving it to Canada and Mexico because we have to open the trade lines again, and you're not going to do that until both other countries, this whole hemisphere, is well on their way to being vaccinated. And then, the trade lines will open back up.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Give it to Canada, give it to Mexico, because this plot of land is our land. We could start singing it if you want to, but it does matter. It does matter. And getting into the stuff at the border especially, I don't know how they're going to rectify that situation, how they are going to make sure that people at the border that are trying to get into America are vaccinated. And it's such a hard subject to talk about because there are so many hardline people out there going, it's a disaster, or going, it's not as bad as you think. It's probably both. It probably is a disaster, but it's probably not as bad as you're making it out to be in your mind. It's going to have to be rectified. I don't know what people want Biden to do. He told them not to come, although he should have probably kept the laws a little more stringent until we had other things, at least in a more positive direction. Mistakes were made. You can't change it now. There's over 14,000 migrant children living on the border in U.S. provided housing, trying to figure out what to do with them. That's sad. I mean, again, people pointing fingers at people. These are kids. They're kids. And their parents, we don't know where they are. That's scary too for a kid. So your parents keep telling you, push along, get there. You get there, and then you're basically put into housing, which probably is a good thing because they probably need A, the rest, and B, whatever's provided is probably better than they've had on their migration to that line. But these are all real problems, and I would imagine at some point making those places vaccination places is going to be part of, whether it's on the back of the U.S. or the back of Mexico, or a joint effort. Nobody should be going anywhere if they're not going to get vaccinated at the border.
Well, right now, they can't vaccinate them. You're not allowed to vaccinate anybody under the age of 16.
Yeah. No, I meant just in general, at some point.
What I want to say to people that are just all up in arms over these children, walk a mile in their shoes. I bet you can't walk a mile in their shoes, let alone the 600 miles that some of those kids have walked by themselves. And their parents, my heart breaks for them to make that decision to send your child on this journey by themselves to escape the kind of horrific conditions that they've been living under it's tragic. It's in this day and age that there are places in this world that are so dangerous that you will send your 8-year-old, your 10-year-old off by themselves is just unfathomable to me.
Yeah. When you, as a parent, you have to say to your kid, you are better off trying this than staying here.
That's right.
That's got to be a difficult decision. What bothers me the most is the way people talk about it. Yeah, I'll be honest with you right now. My feeling as an American citizen is this is not the time, but it's still happening regardless of how I feel about it. People are not going to stop coming to the border. The situation is bad. I think the president and vice president should probably go there and assess it and see what can be done. Could it be made easier, better, somehow? What could be done? But people are not going to stop coming, whether he tells them to stop coming or not. It's a difficult process, but yeah, when it's possible that people are going to keep coming to the border, they're going to have to figure out a vaccination situation, because you want to talk about people who have not been able to just do the common things, wash their hands. I mean, I hate to tie it all together because I know they're two separate problems, but really at some point they're all going to be America's issue to deal with. So it is an issue, but I am glad to see nonetheless that some of those vaccines that are just sitting in a warehouse waiting to be approved are going to get used in Mexico and Canada. And really, the opportunity to do some goodwill with both Mexico and Canada is probably a good thing. It's probably a good thing. So don't be mad about that. When the AstraZeneca vaccine does get approved in the next, couple weeks or so, the subject has come up. I've talked to somebody about this to know what vaccine should you get. Well, right now we're still in the you get what you got. That's not really a choice. But there probably will be, doctors will probably start to assess, hey, you have this, and so maybe this vaccine is the one you should get. We'll make sure you get to a list that is providing this. Right now, they could have stuck me with whatever, and I wouldn't have complained about it. I had a friend the other day that went to go get, he was told that they were serving Johnson & Johnson, and he got there and he got a Moderna. He didn't complain. He got it. But the convenience of Johnson & Johnson is one shot. I get that. But again, the convenience of not dying from coronavirus is really the convenience I'm looking for. So whatever they were going to serve me, I was going to take in about an hour and a half. I'll be taking another shot of that, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And if it makes me sick, it makes me sick. I'll be sick for a weekend.
Oh, you'll just be tired.
Yeah, tired. But people are having different reactions to it. I don't know. I want to play golf on Sunday. If I can play golf on Sunday, all's right with the world.
If you have the same ones that I, go the same path I did, go play golf on Sunday.
Did you get the shot in the same arm?
Yes.
Is that a mistake? I mean, seriously, for those that have had it, I don't know. That's been the big pressing issue on my mind today. Is do I get it in the same arm or the other one?
Well, it's my own damn fault. I'll be honest. I sleep on my left side. So I get the first one, and I got it in the left because I was thinking, well, you're right. You use it, to write, to do all kinds of other things. So I think, all right, go on the left arm. Well, the first shot really didn't leave much of a soreness, So I said, that was nothing. Go ahead, do it in the left.
Mistake.
Oh, man, I felt like I had a golf ball stuck under my skin, for like 2 days. I think it was hard, Yeah. I'd have to really adjust my arm to be able to go to sleep. But after that, it was good. But it was my own fault.
Yeah.
It was my own fault.
Yeah, I didn't consider the sleep option. Yeah, I was just like, well, I moved my right arm a lot. I got the last one in the left arm, so probably just go back to dance with who brung you is the old saying. Dance with who brung you. We'll go back to the left arm. We'll come back. We'll talk about your possibility of getting even more money back from the government. What can you do, or what have you done already that could lead you to a refund, an even bigger one that maybe you're already seeing? We'll talk about that in just a couple minutes on the Watchdog.
Tune in to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, weekday mornings, 7 to 10 a.m. on the Valley's favorite live and local talk radio station, The Watchdog.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
The 2021 Honda ATV lineup is here to prove it's possible to work smarter and harder. With the power to get the job done, the technology to make it easier, and tried and tested quality to keep you moving forward, the only thing left to add is you. Then you'll understand how life is better on a Honda. Honda recommends ATVs for riders 16 years and older and recommends that all ATV riders take a training course.
Do you have an oak tree in your yard? Well, this sound could be deadly for it this time of year. Oaks all over Ohio are being killed by a fungal disease called oak wilt. It's carried by a bark beetle that just so happens to love freshly cut oak. So certified arborists are reminding people to not prune oak trees during the warm weather unless it's for safety reasons. Find out more by finding an ISA certified arborist near you at treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug discovery.
Catch Biff Leonard on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Weekday morning, 7 to 10 a.m. Only on the Watchdog. Live and local talk radio. Just the way you like it.
My mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. Got my mind set on you. But it's gonna take money, a whole lot of spending money. It's gonna take plenty of money to do it right, child. It's gonna take time, whole lot of precious time. It's gonna take patience and time to do it, 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 to do it right, child. I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set.
George Harrison. That video, I've got my mind set on you, was really one of the most influential videos in the early days of MTV. It was certainly something that in the kind of like the vein of Sledgehammer. It had a lot of moving parts. It had some, the piano was playing itself, the clock was dancing. It was a pretty neat video, and it was a pretty good song too. Other than McCartney is without a doubt the most successful Beatle outside of the Beatles, but George did all right too. Ringo still does his all-star band, and it's fun. But musically, no one can touch what Paul did post-Beatle life. The IRS has offered to go ahead and just automatically process your refund on your first $10,200 if you are someone who collected unemployment in 2020. So we talked about this. It was part of the big $1.9 trillion stimulus package. And today was the day that they released details. I think it was Wednesday we were talking about it, where you're going to have to file an addendum to your tax return. Because that's what I did. I filed my tax return because there were so many ideas of what to do. Should you hurry up and file your taxes? Is that what's going to be your opportunity to get a stimulus check? Is that what it's going to be based on? The 2020 taxes, the 2019 taxes, hurry up and do it, and don't do it. I'm somebody that wants to do my taxes the day I can do them because I want it out of my life. I wasn't great at doing homework, but if I had some, I'd do it on Friday after school, so I didn't have to think about it all weekend. I do the same thing with my taxes. As soon as I can do them, I do them, and that's it. So that's what I did, and I was part of this group. I lost my job because of COVID, and I had unemployment. I made more than $10,200 on it, and this was never a thought for me to have the 10% that they can take out of it for federal, and they did, and thankfully they did. Well, for a lot of people, you're going to see a refund back on that first $10,200 if you're like me, or if you haven't filed yet, they have extended the date into, I think, May 17th is the day now. So you have that chance to, when you go to process this, it will be an option for you to be able to click through on the irs.gov to click a button or a drop down or whatever it's going to look like to take that first $10,200 out. So what that means financially for you will be different for everybody, but the opportunity at least to get a little bit more money back should come your way. And it will just come your way. You don't have to actually go out there and figure out how to do it or how to find it. The IRS is just going to process it for you. I also saw this piece of information a little bit ago that I thought was, it's interesting. I know that they're trying to stimulate the economy, and this, again, whether you liked it or whether you didn't, the stimulus package went through, and expectant mothers for 2021, the unborn child in a lot of cases, is going to get $1,400. You know, having a baby, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, especially the startup cost of coming home with a child is incredibly expensive. I mean, you know, I don't think it's a process that's going to last more than just this one-time shot, but right now, when if you are bringing home a child soon, having that $1,400 extra is probably going to prove to be quite helpful to a lot of people. The Goldman Sachs, I read this article too, and I thought, well, I hope they're right. Goldman Sachs is saying that this $1.9 trillion stimulus package could fuel the economy for quite a long time. I mean, they really are looking for it to move this country forward for quite a long time, as if it were the absolute right thing to do. Look, I hope that it was. I hope that it is. If you haven't got all of your stimulus money, it's coming. I've seen this. I don't know if you've seen this at all, but some people are popping up saying, I only got part of my money. A lot of people are trying to assess whether they only got part of it from the government or they only got part of it because it had been garnished for money that they owed. That is happening a lot. I don't think that was the possibility on the first stimulus check or the second one, but this one has the possibility that the money went straight to creditors. And that would probably be maddening if you were counting on that and you had a lien against your check or however they do that. If you owe money, it's automatically being deducted.
Well, you should have gotten notice from whoever you owed the money that they had filed a lien against you.
Well, the mail is slow, so they don't necessarily, the check may have popped up at whatever number it is before they got a notice that you will be losing part of this because you owe us money. Yeah, that would be maddening, I would think.
It seems to me it takes a little bit longer than that to garnish somebody's wages.
Yeah, no,
That has to go through a court.
Well, no, I think people knew that their wages were being garnished.
Oh.
I don't think they realized that it was coming out of their stimulus check. Oh, yeah, I mean, you absolutely know if you're... I would imagine the process of having your wages garnished is so agonizingly miserable that you'll never forget that. You would know.
Child support is a big one.
Yeah.
Child support is what, a lot of people think they're getting this big refund from income tax, and they end up with nothing.
Yeah.
Because they owed back child support.
Yeah, and you know what's weird, and I again, that's something thankfully I've never experienced, but it doesn't happen to everyone. Some people owe back child support and never have to pay up, and some people get just absolutely stripped of it right away. Again, a world I'm not terribly familiar with, but...
Depends on the state.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, I'm sure that it does. I'm sure that it does, but again...
Ohio, they'll get you.
Will they get you in Ohio?
Yeah.
They got DeWine sees you. That was my favorite meme about this whole lockdown was the DeWine memes. DeWine can see you. Good news, though, since you brought it up, state of Ohio, the idea that they're getting closer to being able to open up restrictions when they get down to about 50 people for every 100,000 right now. I think it said they were at 150 or 148 for every 100,000, and that number is increasingly going down every week, so that's good news. As we get ready to go to the break, just to share a score with you and our friends that are Ohio State fans right now, they still trail by 3 to Oral Roberts in the NCAA tournament. We're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll come back and get a couple more topics in, take some phone calls, and get ready for the weekend right here on the Watchdog.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Jeff Jenkins. Morgantown sandwich shop owner George Tanios has been indicted by a federal grand jury in Washington, D.C. in connection with his alleged participation in the January 6th U.S. Capitol riot Tanios was arrested earlier this week. The bill that would establish a process to remove war and other historical monuments from public property in West Virginia is on its way to the state Senate after passage today in the House of Delegates. Most of that long debate centered on whether the Stonewall Jackson statue should be on the grounds of the state capitol. Ohio County Delegate Sean Fluharty says delegates should consider how the statue impacts others.
It doesn't hit me like it hits others in the African American community. And that's the highest quality a politician can have, is empathy. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes.
Supporters of the bill say it sets up a process for a conversation to be had about what memorials should stay and which ones should not. U.S. Senator Shelley Moore Capito is in El Paso, Texas this afternoon. She's along the border with Mexico, seeing firsthand what's happening with young children streaming across the border. Capito's been critical of President Joe Biden's stance on immigration. The State Public Service Commission says Appalachian Power, Wheeling Power, Mom Power, and Potomac Edison need to improve their average interruption index by 5%, be offline less. The companies have wanted to keep the same levels as the last 8 years. The PSC rejected that, told them to improve their levels by 5%. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. The State Division of Motor Vehicles says over the last 7 years, it's processed more than 1 million transactions on its online portal. The agency passed the 1 million mark a few weeks ago. The DMV says it plans to add more online services in the months to come. It may be early tomorrow morning before we know the result of tonight's NCAA opening round game between West Virginia and Morehead State. The game doesn't tip until 9:50 tonight. Mountaineers, double-digit favorite. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Jeff Jenkins.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on the Watchdog. I'm John Thayer. It's tournament time for the West Virginia Mountaineers as the Mountaineers will play tonight against Morehead State, the first round of the NCAA tournament. Mountaineers are a 3 seed in the field, and tonight's game will be played at Lucas Oil Stadium. You can watch it on True TV. Maryland will play UConn tomorrow night. The game will be played inside Mackey Arena and televised by CBS. In the women's tournament, West Virginia opens tournament play on Sunday night. They'll take on Lehigh. The Mountaineers are a 4 seed in the field, and that game is being played in San Antonio. It will be televised on ESPNU. Maryland women will play Monday afternoon. They'll take on Mount St. Mary's. The game will be played inside the Alamo Dome and televised on ESPN. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm John Thayer with the Sports Flash, powered by the Score on the Watchdog.
What are real people saying about Skechers Arch Fit footwear? Joe from Hilton Head says, excellent product. I need arch support, and these shoes have it. Joe, Skechers Arch Fit don't just have arch support, they have podiatrist certified arch support that was developed with over 20 years of data. These shoes are great for virtually everybody. Next, Pete from New York writes, great for walking. I stand a lot of work and the Arch Fit keeps me comfortable. My feet don't feel tired at the end of the day. Okay, Pete gets it. He's walking, working, just living at Skechers Arch Fit. And since Arch Fit is the ultimate solution for all-day comfort, his feet still feel good after a long, long day. Now let's hear what Retired for Life from Florida has to say. Bought these for use as everyday wear shoes. The arch support is amazing. All right, look, she's getting the support she needs, and she's also sneaky smart wearing these every day because Skechers Arch Fit are machine washable, so you can keep them looking great no matter how much you wear them. She's a genius. Feel for yourself what everybody's raving about. Find podiatrist certified Skechers Arch Fit at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Storm Tracker 7 team is here to warn you when winter weather will affect your day.
And as we go through the overnight after our coating of snow, we'll wake up tomorrow morning with a few snow flurries.
We are also here to help you make the most of the season. Is it a good day to build a snowman? Should you take the kids sledding? Check out our app before you head out the door.
We're going to bottom out to temperatures in the upper 20s.
With meteorologists Dr. Dave Walker, Zach Petty, and me, Aaron Myler, we've got weather coverage you can count on. 7 News, working for you.
Hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I grab you a Coors Light?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Huh. I never knew there was a zip line in my fridge.
Hey, buddy!
Yeah!
You got 2 Coors Lights up there?
You got it!
always brewed down to 34 degrees. With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go, 2 Coors Lights.
Awesome, man. Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Sure, I mean, you being a mountain climber and all.
Yep.
You probably need a pretty warm coat in there, huh?
Yep.
Hey, Ben!
Yeah!
Ask him if he has any nachos.
You got any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yep.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
Listen to the Bill DeFabio Variety Show with Bill DeFabio and Lola Miller. Weekdays noon to 2 on the Valley's only network dedicated to live and local talk radio. The Watchdog.
A Monday warrior, mean stride. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride. Those minds not for them. Don't put them down to say it again. His reserve quiet defense, writing out the day's events. And on the river.
Canada's greatest trio, Rush. On Friday afternoon, this is the Watchdog. I'm Big Rick. Ohio State fans, I just perused my social media during the break. Getting nervous. Oral Roberts is the team that won't go away. A 15-2 game. Oral Roberts up by 2 with a little under 6 minutes left to go in the second half. Again, I don't think that Ohio State won't win, but this is exactly why they actually play the games and call it dancing and Cinderella stories. That's it. And that's exactly why. 16's over 1. I think it's only happened one time. It was Virginia a couple of years ago. Virginia was just seemed like they were ticketed for the Final Four, and they lost to a 16 seed. We've seen a few 15s over 2s before, but this would certainly make history if Oral Roberts ends up winning this game. We'll try to stick with the lighter stuff as we get ready to roll into a fun weekend. I saw a story last night, and I actually saved it so I could read it this morning. The world of relationships is very difficult, and I would imagine it's all going to even be harder during a pandemic and then into whatever life is post-pandemic. But a student created an algorithm dating app so you can find exactly the right person and cut through the clutter. This seems like something I wouldn't want. I mean, to believe in science and things like that, I do. And I think math is absolute. 2 + 2 will always equal 4. And these algorithms, the things that they can do and the way they work, seem to be a science. But the idea of meeting somebody because the algorithm says we should be compatible, I could not get behind.
I think there's a TV show, a sitcom, about that.
Oh, is there really?
I think it's some weird kind of way of matching you up with people that you would never imagine that you would match up with. That's a history of my relationships, and obviously it's never quite worked out.
The clicking I get. Is it more difficult, detrimental, whatever you want to say, to go out on 1,000 dates and have to deal with it that way, or just go, you know what, I'm at the point in my life where I just want to find my algorithm partner and move forward and have 2.5 kids and whatever. I don't know. I just think that these things happen, sonically, and you find who you're supposed to be with. And sometimes it doesn't turn out to be the person you're supposed to be with your whole life. But I certainly don't want to trust that to an algorithm. I have a hard enough time placing faith in the things that I see on social media as it is. I certainly don't know about a dating app that is mathematical.
Look at the algorithms that you get sent commercials for.
That's
Do you
true.
really want those people telling you who to date? I've gotten too many for that electronic fish thing for my cats to play with, you know?
Well, I mean, in all fairness to the electronic fish cat people, they knew you were the easy target for that.
Well, as I proved the other day.
When you actually ordered them. Yes. So, I mean, I know it's the idea of people could pop up in your social media feeds, essentially. And I mean, there's already the people you may know or connect with this person. And that can be, it doesn't necessarily have to be relationship wise, but just basing your algorithms and the things that you do into finding people that have similar things that pop up, it would be like just essentially an advertisement for randomly message this person and see if they'll go out with you. No, no. Because that certainly doesn't seem to me, it lends itself to the idea of bots and scams and things like that. And the reason I brought this up is there was a woman who lost about $200,000. Did you see this?
No, but anytime I hear about one of these dating scams, it's just...
Well, this is going to blow your mind because she thought she was secretly talking to and sending money to Bruno Mars.
Oh, yeah, okay, Bruno Mars really needed the gift cards.
Bruno Mars probably has diamonds. His probably his steering wheel is probably made of nothing but golden diamonds. This guy does not need your $200,000. It shocks me how people can fall for this stuff.
I know.
I mean, there was a lady a couple weeks ago who thought that Nikki Sixx and someone else, I can't remember who it was, were fighting. Bret Michaels, Nikki Sixx and Bret Michaels. So you want to talk about two of the biggest eight? I mean, Nikki Sixx is still in Motley Crue. Bret Michaels still in Poison. Hard to believe both of those bands are still alive and pushing forward. They're actually going to tour together when touring is a thing. But yeah, she truly believed that she was in a relationship with both of those guys and they were fighting over her. And that's what the internet does. So you're going to tell me all of a sudden that this algorithm is foolproof and that I will just get real live people? I don't think so. This the girl that created it, though, won $250,000 for doing it. I mean, I have no idea how many lives it will ultimately ruin, but probably one per dollar is my guess. But I'm not okay with that. I don't want to people shop in my algorithms. Definitely not. Mentioned again too as we're getting ready to wrap up the show. About 10 total minutes left. Juju Smith-Schuster signs with the Steelers, 1-year deal. The money came out. Looks like it's 1 year, $8 million. That to me seems fair market value. I think that the reports saying the Eagles and the Ravens both wanted to pay more in longer terms. He took less to stay a Steeler. I will maintain that is because there is a handshake deal for when the salary cap goes up, that they'll sign him long term. He wants to be in Pittsburgh. He said that's where he wanted to be. And you know what? He stood true. Even if it's just for this 1 year. You got to applaud a guy who says something and then actually does it. Mm-hmm. And that's what he did. I honestly didn't think it was sincere. My first gut reaction to Juju Smith-Schuster saying I want to be a Steeler for life was, you want to be a TikTok star for life, and you can do that a lot easier in Las Vegas, New York, where, in a bigger city. Because let's face it, Pittsburgh is a great city, but it's not necessarily the biggest one. And certainly not the biggest one he could have lived in. An entertainment type person like Juju would thrive in LA. He may not thrive in the New York media, but he would thrive in Las Vegas, where Las Vegas is just, they got a hockey team a few years ago. It goes to the Stanley Cup. Now they have this brand new giant state-of-the-art facility for the Raiders, who no one has been in because their first season was during a pandemic. When that opens up, and I thought the Raiders were the logical place for Juju, the idea of when that stadium opens up, the entire landscape of Nevada is going to change. People will be coming from all around to go to that place. And you want to talk about a place that was booming before COVID. What is Vegas going to be like post-COVID? Some places are going to recover quicker than others. I would say Nevada's probably going to recover on day 2 financially. I mean, they just the whole world is that people will just absolutely flock to Las Vegas. So I thought that was kind of the place for Juju, but turns out he will stay a Steeler for one more year. We'll go ahead and we'll take our final break of the afternoon. We'll come back to have a little bit more sports talk as we head into the weekend here on The Watchdog.
Tune into Marshall County's second favorite son, Donnie Gilbert, Fridays from noon to 2 on the Valley's only network dedicated to live and local talk radio, The Watchdog. For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that The Watchdog trusts.
I'm Josh from Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. I hope you are staying healthy. We continue to respond to structural, fire, and water emergencies. We are combating COVID-19 with our highly trained staff and latest disinfection systems, providing preventative and reactive disinfection to facilities around the region, while working with area hospitals on isolation areas and air filtering. At Panhandle, we continue to follow social distancing and hygiene protocols. We are dedicated to our community, and together, we will get through this.
Imagine yourself in a Toyota, like a new 21 Highlander or the all-new 21 Sienna, both with $1,500 cash back. Or check out our new 21 RAV4 and take up to $1,250 cash back. Or a new 21 Camry with up to $1,750 cash back. Visit buyatoyota.com for more deals, local inventory, and to find a dealer near you. You can take cash back or apply toward down payment. Offers vary for hybrid models and exclude TRD models. See your dealer for details. Ready, set, go get your Toyota today. Offers end March 31st. Toyota.
Jesse is a friend. Yeah, I know he's been a good friend of mine. But lately something's changed, it ain't hard to define. Jesse's got himself a girl and I wanna make her mine. And she's watching him with those eyes, and she's loving with that body, I just know it. And he's holding her in his arms late at night. You know I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that?
Welcome back. Get ready to wrap up the show for the day. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. 4:51. Ohio State up by 3 with a couple of minutes left to go against Oral Roberts. One of the things that let me give the basketball schedule real quick because we got a lot of stuff going on this weekend basketball-wise. Of course, tonight we are going to have Wheeling Central at Weirton. That game is going to happen tonight at 7:30, and then WVU basketball will be on the air. 8:45 pregame starts. 9:50-ish is what they're saying for tip-off. Again, it's tournament basketball. Could be later than that. Definitely won't be earlier than that, but 9:50-ish for that tip-off. So the basketball game could easily go into tomorrow morning, as a lot of basketball games probably will. Tomorrow, heads up on this one. Trinity at Wheeling Central has been postponed. Apparently, Trinity is having some COVID issues, so that game will not be on tomorrow. We'll have basketball on. We're going to have women's basketball on versus WVU versus Coastal Carolina. That will be on tomorrow on the program. Coastal Carolina versus WVU women's basketball. Sunday, if needed, WVU will take on Coastal Carolina. Right? Is that how this? Is that how your schedule reads? Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that we have that all correct as we get into the weekend. Saw this actually. I think I may have seen it on my buddy Kyle's page. Pete Rose is saying that he will not get into the Hall of Fame before someone from the steroid era gets into the Hall of Fame. I tend to agree. I think at some point, baseball the steroid era for baseball certainly lost a lot of credibility with a lot of people. Pete Rose betting baseball on himself and on his team also loses credibility. So really, at some point, if the baseball writers in Major League Baseball doesn't start to put some of these steroid era guys in, then what was the whole point of decades of baseball? You know, and I feel the same thing about Pete Rose. I think you either let them all in or you let none of them in, and I think letting none of them in doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, what these guys did on the field, whether it was genetically enhanced or whether it was betting on yourself to win and your team to win, to me, neither one of them is a good thing, but it also happened. Again, we talk about a racing history where we talk about taking down statues. Kenny Wayne Shepherd can't win a Blues Award because he owns a General Lee from 17 years ago. I mean, are we going to just pretend that these baseball players didn't exist? I think that's silly. It's stupid that they did what they did, but it's also silly that they're not going to be acknowledged for being the players that they were.
With Pete Rose, now, and I might be wrong, but he bet when he was a manager, right? You can't take away the stats he had on the field. That had nothing to do with the other thing. But actually, Pete Rose gets more publicity and press by not getting in than he does if he did.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You want to see one of the most miserable people in the world. There is a sports memorabilia store in Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas who regularly hosts Pete Rose, and he is just a man sitting in a store waiting for someone to give him $100 to sign a baseball, and he couldn't hate his life more when you look inside that store. And a lot of players don't mind signing autographs, but at this point, the autograph business has become huge. So it's just easier for him to say, okay, well, someone's going to pay me X number of dollars every time I sign my name. Man, he looks like the most miserable human being in the world sitting in those stores trying to do that. And I get it. I wouldn't. Could you imagine every human being that you ever encounter ask you about betting on baseball? Like, it was almost to me like a death sentence of, I'm going to have to talk about this for the rest of my life. I'm never going to get into the Hall of Fame. And I have to hope that people come up and ask me about something that I never want to talk about again. But I think you're right. He does get a lot more publicity not getting in than he would if he was just in. I think he'd be a forgotten ghost if they did put him in. It still gives him some notoriety as he continues to move through. 2 more stories and we'll be out. We'll talk about this one. This time a year ago, we were getting ready for Netflix to drop Tiger King. Doesn't that seem like it was longer ago than right now?
He is a forgotten memory.
He is in jail. He is still in jail. He was thought he was going to get pardoned by Donald Trump on his last day. They sent a limo for Joe Exotic, but he never came out. He was not pardoned. Well, in celebration of the 1-year anniversary since the Tiger King came out, Joe Exotic will be launching his own shoe line for the fans of the Tiger King. You all right? I didn't mean to put you over here at the end of the show. So you can get your very own Joe Exotic shoes. I mentioned autographs a little earlier, just kind of a fun note about that. Joe Exotic loves people sending him mail to the jail that he's in, to the prison that he's in, and he signs it and sends it back. And somebody made a Joe Exotic baseball card that he signed, and it's actually going for a fairly decent chunk of money on the internet. I know. What a strange thing. And as we get ready to wrap up the weekend, AMC theaters are opening this weekend. About 98% of AMC theaters will be back open. Of course, they'll have to practice social distancing and all the normal things that we all have to do. But the fact that theaters are opening back up, in my estimation, is good news. I mean, obviously, we've all watched a lot of movies at home over the last year. And I'm not a big movie person to actually get out and go to the movies. But I also think I kind of took it for granted that I could go whenever I wanted. And, getting the $80 worth of popcorn and Junior Mints and whatever is... as much as I don't want to pay for that, I probably will look forward to the opportunity to actually go sit in a movie theater again, eat a giant tub of popcorn with my own hands in it, nobody else, and watch a movie. Lastly, California, of course, is also opening back up. They'll probably be one of the last states to open up fully, but they are opening the theme parks. Oddly enough, when you are on a roller coaster at a theme park in California, you cannot scream.
Oh, come on.
That's that. How in the world? To me, that equals don't open the theme park.
I know it.
Because somebody's going to, you're going to have somebody who is just so upset about the idea of people opening their mouth and talking around them. They're going to be behind somebody who's in the front car of the roller coaster who screams because that's what makes roller coasters fun. And then you're probably going to have a melee break out at a theme park. Mickey's going to be missing an ear. It's just going to be just an absolute disaster.
Here's a tip. Don't go.
Yeah, don't go. If you don't want to take the risk of people screaming and enjoying themselves at the theme park, don't go. But then again, that's California for you. What do you expect? Here in West Virginia, you can't sing in a bar. Your band can play. Don't you dare sing. That's it. We made it through the week. I'm going to go get my second COVID vaccine shot, and all will feel much right in the world when we get back here on Monday. For Lola, I'm Rick. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the basketball. We'll talk again on Monday. This is The Watchdog.